Alright, looks like we're live. What's up, Matthew? Mr. Beast's secret CEO.
Okay.
That sounds interesting.
And so I feel that you're
Gig, what's up, dude? Anthony, what's going on? Dairy-free Milkway, what's up? Versified, what's going on? Vegan Wesker, what's up? Who's Sam Hyde's boxing coach? Scott Sullivan. That's his name. Scott Sullivan. This guy.
About it.
Dodo donated $2. Did you respond to fake vegetarian lady? If not, can you do it now on stream? Also, why you say hi to everyone but never me? Well, you're not in chat. Well, I left a comment and I sent her an email, but I never got an email reply back from her, so. Yeah, never got a reply back. Praying mantis lowered into water to entice out the parasite within.
Hi VG. I hope that you are doing great tonight. So, I went to the Jewish place I told you about and it was disappointing lol, but we went here after and got the vegan falafel wrap.
That doesn't seem too bad. There's a Chinese takeout place in Ottawa, the one I went to that I posted on Instagram. It's really weird. I think it's run by Jews. It's inside a synagogue, and they advertise everything as kosher. So I don't know why there's a Jewish Chinese takeout place, but they make good fucking food. Thanks for the donation though, Ben. Dodo donated $2. You said yesterday she replied back asking, oh wait, that's not the fake vegetarian, that's the carnivore retard, right? Did you mean someone else replied back asking for that? No, that's the carnivore chick you're talking about, not the fake vegetarian. Thanks for the donation though, Dodo. Ew. Oh my god. What the fuck? Dude, that is nasty. Jesus. Yeah, that's fucked, dude.
So this video is going to focus around one instance of SA. I wanted to put all the SA allegations into one video, part 3. final video until Jimmy responds at least. I sort of overestimated how easy that would be.
The Ambrose guy from Sabrina the Teenage Witch series apparently died in a motorcycle accident. Oh, that guy?
What's the debate topic with Scott Sullivan about? Also, you should go on Fish Tank during their upcoming Season 3 and box Sv3rige. You both are in the same height and weight class.
We're gonna debate veganism. Go on Fish Tank. Box Sv3rige. Dude, I don't know if I could handle that fish tank thing. Is there good money involved for something like that to actually be worth it? Like, I'd have to be paid a pretty big bag to handle that retarded toxic shit, dude. I don't think I could fucking do it. Yeah, apparently he died in a motorcycle accident. I'd like to know what the exact circumstances were. I actually just got a new front tire for my V-Strom, because the tires it came with weren't that great to begin with, but yeah, the front tire's getting a little worn out, and I got the best tires I possibly could, the Michelin Road 6s. Let's see. Dodo donated $2. How do you respond to people like this? Let me see. So if the Germans gave Jews for allegedly 6 million killed Jews, 70 billion... So if the Germans gave Jews for allegedly 6 million killed Jews, 70 billion... That means that Germans owe 4.2 trillion to Slavs for 35 million killed Slavs. Don't think that's how that works. The same amount of Jews owe to Slavs for the genocide of Slavs under their Bolshevik, Zionist, communist occupation of Slavic land. Yeah, sure, dude. For reparations due to the destroyed and stolen cultural heritage, we will still issue the bill to Zionists after calculations. Where the fuck are they getting these stupid ideas?
So what can I tell you about anything?
What is it like being an Israeli professor this year?
You went for the jugular. For the past 8 months, it's been impossible to teach.
I saw a video about the Columbia protest.
Yes.
Investigation into his advocacy for Jewish and Israeli students.
Waking up realizing that there are many people who not only don't believe in coexistence, but don't believe in my existence. I'm gonna give you an A.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Have a seat, man. Ask me anything.
What's your opinion about the conflict nowadays?
It sucks. You have innocent people dying from the Israeli side and the Palestinian side. Most Israelis don't want war. For me, the question is, why are we in this situation? It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you so much, man. You got an A. Congratulations.
I don't see how this war is going to stop Hamas.
War's not over. You cannot judge a process while it's ongoing. I hope that the war ends as fast as possible. We all know what needs to happen for the war to end. 2 things. Release of 120 hostages. Put down your arms. The war is done tomorrow.
That's never gonna happen. We're gonna
I
be
teach
like-
negotiation. I believe when the leverage is high enough, it does happen. My theory is Hamas is not putting down their weapon because American college students, they see this mass protest that are not pro-Palestinian, but they're anti-Israel. You can criticize the government, but that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing calls for the elimination of the state of Israel.
Yeah.
If Hamas sees this happening all over the world, of course they're not going to put up their weapons. They believe that they are winning.
We are killing some babies.
Nobody in their right mind would be happy about casualties of war. Children in World War II were casualties of war. And we need to understand why those casualties of war exist. Whose fault is it? If terrorists hide within civilian population.
All right, then I must be wrong.
How can a country like Palestine have a democratically elected government when they are not receiving the education?
Ideally, education is the only way forward, but for some people, they don't want to learn. When you have people shooting rockets at you, you have to say, you know what? We're going to stop that problem first.
I agree, but don't you think that they would be capable of tracing who the Hamas terrorists were?
I think it's very hard to get 40,000 terrorists that are hiding in tunnels. They have more tunnels than New York City subway system.
What efforts are being made to solve this divide? Listen to terrorists
You'll have to let me answer.
If there are discrepancies,
I'm giving you a D because you're not willing to listen.
How is Israel creating?
All right, well, thanks for the donation, Dodo.
How did you get in contact with this guy?
Somebody sent me his Instagram and then told me to just message him to set up a debate. Thanks for the donation, nigga. Riley, donated $2. React to this. If you don't want to react to the whole thing, react to $3.50.
I keep on getting these.
$3.50.
Better than any other animal. I don't think that's a big deal. Anyway, maybe PETA should make campaigns about culling This is the thing. Like, on one side, I've got culling predator arguments on one side, who are just like, these Nazis, I'm so tired of them. These children who think that they've come up with a new idea. Like, kill them all is not a new idea. Death is bad, so therefore kill. Suffering is bad, so therefore Holocaust. It's just a very dumb, childish way of looking at the world, and it's right in line with the thinking of the Nazis, like using pseudoscience and hypotheticals to defend killings.
He cannot make an argument. I don't care. Like, don't bother sending me links when he's making the same stupid non-arguments against killing predators. Like, he's not even listening to the argument. Thanks for the donation, though, Riley. Ben Boyd donated $2. Had a coworker who rode a motorcycle who would overtake people blindly around a corner at the peak of a mountain with nothing but guardrails protecting him from falling off. Told him I was concerned, but he said it's not a big deal. Was I crazy? Well, that's just retarded. You are tempting fate when you do stupid shit like that. Never overtake anybody on a blind turn. Thanks for the donation, Ben Boy. Tennis donated $2. You can go on Fish Tank as a freeloader guest who just hangs out with production behind the scenes and messes with contestants. You don't need to be a contestant yourself. They pay for your flights and pay you daily. Think you'd be a great guest. If he makes me some kind of offer that doesn't sound too cancerous, maybe. If I was like a contestant on that show and somebody like pissed on my food or like put meat or something in my food, like, dude, somebody's getting their fucking teeth knocked out. How's your boxing? Feel you'd have a solid right hook. Well, I haven't done much boxing. I think I'd be fairly good at it. I am very fast and I hit hard. So I've got that going for me. And I'm tall and have a long reach.
Family of Chance Perdomo speaking out following the actor's sudden death. They say the Gen V star died following a motorcycle crash. The family releasing a statement saying his presence was felt by everyone and he will be missed by those who loved him.
Hey,
Show
Julington,
producers
what's up,
also
dude?
releasing a statement offering their condolences condolences. Details about the crash were not shared, but the family says he was the only person involved. Perdomo was only 27 years old.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.
When did I have that debate with that one guy? 5 days ago? That would be 23rd.
Or is like getting everything.
Did you renew your passport yet? So that you can have a boxing match with that four-eyed mophead? Lol.
No, haven't renewed my passport yet. Gotta do that sometime soon. Thanks for the donation, though, Will Mage.
Being approved with victims and lawyers, and like also, you know, traditional media is involved. They've been DMing me, you know, New York Times, Time Magazine, also like documentary people. I don't know. You're like, hey, I've worked with Netflix and Hulu and Apple TV and Peacock. Are you interested? And I'm like, I don't know. But, you know, I think people should go to those more legitimate sources to get their stories out. So I've been referring people to other people because traditional has, you know, more resources than I do and better legal protections than I do for sure. I do have sort of that bigger project, the original part 3, and I have a lot of other interviews and other allegations that I'm working on putting together, so I have something for when Mr. Beast responds. If his response is bad, then I can sort of point out, hey, he lied here and he deflected and straw man argument or whatever. As well as like dropping new allegations and doing it in an opportune way so that they get the most eyeballs. But yeah, I just wanted to say this is just around sort of one allegation. Also, everything in this video is allegedly. This video is not monetized. It's for educational purposes only. This is matters of public interest. I'll put a full disclaimer on the screen. But yeah, here's the video. Okay, today I'm going to be covering Mr. Beast's secret CEO, James Warren, and his involvement in SA and SA cover-ups, like the one including his best friend, LaKoya Hill, who also happens to be Mr. Beast's secret chief operating officer, or was. And then I want to touch on the man himself, Jimmy Donaldson. Mr. Beast has very publicly and transparently been engaging in a massive cover-up, deleting a lot of evidence, and I think a lot of this cover-up is going sort of completely under the radar. We're not even aware of what's being swept under the rug, and they're getting away with hiding and deleting evidence. After I called out James Warren by name in my last video, his Instagram and Facebook got taken down, and his LinkedIn got taken down. So quick profile on James Warren. He's Jimmy's cousin and secret CEO, and I say secret because, you know, they're not very open about that fact. Like he doesn't post about it on social media. It wasn't ever attached to his LinkedIn. He's never featured or really referenced anywhere. I heard that he's very aggressive. I've heard him referred to as a psychopath who screams at people and hits his girlfriends. There's allegedly domestic violence charges that were filed.
What I found odd where my brother and I went to was a vegetarian cafe that was run by mostly Jewish students. The only vegan options they had was a soup and smoothie, but they were obviously pro-Israel and the second place was pro-Palestine. Lol, awkward. Your hair looks nice. Did you get a haircut? Please react to this. This split makes sense.
Ryan Jewers has completely changed.
I did get a haircut, and thank you. I'll take a look at this. Well, Ben, I guess that's kind of weird. Thanks for the donation.
What the best training split is. So what is the new best training split? There were two major studies
There is no best training split
that he was referencing while making this new optimal split, both of which are saying that a higher frequency of hitting a muscle is better than a higher volume when you hit that muscle. What does this mean? Well, it means that if you hit chest, just one singular set of chest during a chest day 3 times a week, you will grow more than if you hit 6 sets of chest once a week. If you guys want to read the studies for yourself, this is one of the really good ones, and this is another one that I really appreciated. Now, a lot of people are calling these new studies, but the truth is they are not new studies. We've known this for a while. It is the truth behind the low volume approach that is so popular in optimal lifters. As far as everything else that has changed as far as our splits go, there really isn't anything. As far as what the best order for exercises is, it is the exact same as I said in my Baxum split video about 2 years ago. If you want to read the study, it is this one right here from 2010. So compiling all of this, what is the best split? Because in Ryan Drew's video, he said an upper-lower is the most optimal split possible. But also in that video, he suggests a 4-day split. I personally am not a fan of an upper-lower split. This is because you are hitting chest and triceps on the same day, which has been proven to not be the best way to grow either chest or triceps, because whichever one you hit second is already fatigued from the exercise that you did to hit the other muscle. Same thing with back and biceps, chest and shoulders, and all sorts of other pairings of muscles. So rather than doing a upper-lower split like he suggested, if you want no rest days, what I would recommend is legs, chest and bi, back and tri, and then shoulders, and repeat that. If you would like a rest day, though,
that would be an asynchronous split, and depending on the volumes and frequencies you need, that might not be the best kind of split.
simply move the shoulder day to any of the other days and then use that day as your rest day. And now you have a 4-day split, which I'm sure many of you already have because I've been recommending 4 or 5-day splits forever. As far as how you structure each day and how you're hitting each muscle, all you need to do is 1 to 4 sets of each.
Yeah. There's no best split.
Support vegan Palestinian businesses and free Palestine. Fuck Zionist business, and fuck Israel.
Thank you for the retardation. Appreciate the donation, Jessica.
Out against him. And I say allegedly because it turns out there's a lot of people in North Carolina named James Warren who assault their girlfriends, I guess. So I'm still having people look into these cases, specifically that surprise witness on YouTube. She's been super helpful in behind the scenes, just submitting freedom of information requests and just helping me out a lot in general. She's super nice, super smart. She'll be posting a lot of updates on her channel, as she has been about the Mr. Beast situation.
Mr. Beast video caused a military operation.
James Warren, also allegedly an ex-drug addict. I've heard that he offered cocaine and hookers to editors to stay late.
Am I bulking? Yes, I've lost nearly 30 pounds in a month, so I'm bulking, retard.
And then the really big thing is that there was some incident between him and a female colleague that resulted in the female colleague leaving the company and receiving 3 years in severance pay. I'm still actively looking into this incident, so if you have information, let me know. But I've heard from multiple credible sources that this is true and this did happen. Also, I should quickly clarify that a lot of this investigation is allegedly. That's sort of the nature of these instances. I have a lot of testimony, corroborating testimony. But the reason I'm publishing this is that hopefully it brings more information to light. Like after, the Jake Weddle interview got posted, which was all mostly testimony, people came out corroborating a story.
Mother, very Camden.
And ultimately, Jimmy ended up apologizing and offering him $190,000, which to me, I think is most likely an admission of guilt. You don't apologize for things that you didn't do. So anyway, I just want to get that out of the way. But what's not allegedly is that James Warren was the former COO of acquisitions of a real estate investment firm called Greenstone Ventures LLC, which is one of the businesses listed in this indictment of his former business partner, Joshua Hutchins, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison for running a real estate Ponzi scheme.
Ponzi schemes are great up until they just go bust.
So before working at Mr. Beast, James Warren was involved in a literal fraud. In fact, he's actually mentioned in the court transcripts of this case. This is the sentence hearing for Joshua Hutchins. I'm going to highlight testimony from just one of these victims, a retirement age woman named Sylvia. She testifies,
All in all, they both had vegan options, but for the first place I should have lowered my expectations since their menus were rotating type menus. I couldn't believe the second place had vegan feta cheese with the falafel wrap, yum, but Hob had the Palestine flag.
Pretty gay. I'm not a big fan of cheese, so I don't really care for cheese, but at least you got some vegan food. Thanks for the donation, Ben.
I came to know Mr. Hutchins through a very reputable and successful real estate attorney who highly recommended Mr. Hutchins and who eventually left his agency to become the chief op.
Forgot my namification, no need to tell her is off topic, but it might be worth critiquing. Destiny made a number of claims about marriage that I've never heard before. Skip 5.
This just isn't profitable for me anymore. I've been
cases, should a long-term relationship not get married? I mean, if you don't want to deal with any of the bullshit, make sure you check out the common law rules in your state, but I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to, but if the woman is going to start making huge sacrifices, then the protections that marriage provides are essential. Any guy that, if you're a woman and a guy tells you that like he doesn't believe in marriage and he wants to have kids, that's like the biggest red flag in the world. That's the same as him being like a rapist or a fucking murderer. Like just run as far.
That's just retarded, dude. Marriage is nothing but a liability for men. That's all it is. So, this idea too that like there has to be somebody who's I don't know, working less or just staying at home to take care of the kids. That whole idea just sounds like fucking bullshit to me. My parents worked when I was a kid. Both all my parents, I was living with my mom and my dad initially, and then they ended up breaking up, and then my mom was living with her grandparents. They all worked. You can work and have kids. Like, I think the reason women bring up this bullshit that, oh, I need to stay home and take care of the kid, it's because they don't want to fucking work. And I mean, fair enough. I don't think anybody wants to work, and women in particular would rather stay home and just play with their kids. But you can, like, have both couples work and have kids. You can have a suitable financial situation, have your own job or career, and have children, and if the relationship goes belly up, you're still making money.
Free Palestine for more Israeli settlements. Lol.
Yep, I could agree to that. Thanks for the donation, Grey Knight. I'll react to more of this later. I'm gonna set up the debate now.
React to this.
What's up? As requested.
Okay, I'll react to that later. Thanks for the donation, Knucking Figure. Let's see, copy invite link. I don't know why I did that. Oh yeah, check out the Vegan Punisher shirt. This is so this shirt is a 4XL. This is small for a 4XL. This is more like a 2 or 3XL. This didn't fit when I initially got it. But, now that I'm 250, it fits. So if you're like 6'3", 250, the 4XL will fit. But, yeah, if you're 6'3", 270, 275, it just won't fit. Yeah, these are on my Teespring. Yeah, the debate's starting in a second. Oh. He's not going to be serious low. He said he can debate, but he doesn't care about defending carnism. Well, we'll see how it goes. You may as well wait for the donations. He's going to pop in a second. Ugh. You ever had social anxiety? Yeah, I used to. The debate proposition is going to be the same as always. Veganism is a logical extension of human rights. How do you cure anxiety? By not giving a fuck. It's the ultimate answer. Just not giving a shit. When's the last time you offered a cage match? It's been a while, dude. Like, few years, maybe? Actually, no. I think I offered to fight that one dipshit that I debated recently. What's the fucking thing called? I think Sam Hyde's taller than me. I think he's like 6'5", something like that. He's heavier, but I don't know if he has more muscle mass. Probably doesn't. Do you know I'm booty cum? No. Wasn't aware, but now I know. Yeah, I know Sam's not natty. He's on like TRT or some shit. Six-hour arm workout as a tribute to Rich? There's no way in hell I'm fucking doing that, dude. Ugh. These are nicotine lozenges. That's what I'm taking right now. Rich Piana had the best fucking memes, dude. The wasn't it an 8-hour arm workout or some stupid shit like that? There's the dick hanging lower than your balls. Right, babe. Good morning, goddammit. He just kept everything nice and minty, you know? He seemed like a really nice guy, too, when I met him in person. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck. He's saying he's having trouble with his webcam or some stupid shit. Yeah, I cut my hair. Why are you on nicotine? Originally, I started taking it to help with depression. Nicotine is a pretty potent antidepressant. Right now, I'm just taking it because it massively helps with, what's it called? Attention span. I might have ADHD, and when I take nicotine, my attention span massively increases.
Is it safe to say that Muhammad, the fake prophet, is the worst Arab to have ever lived? Arguably as power-hungry, genocidal and delusional as Hitler, and he personally committed heinous acts as well. Sneeko is doing dawah, what will be his end?
There were probably Arab leaders that were as bad, if not worse. It's just that they didn't have as much of an ability to cause harm. So they just didn't have as much like military power, stuff like that. Sneeko is going to leave Islam, I can guarantee you. All of these, Americans or people from the UK or Europe who end up joining Islam, they end up leaving, and it's because once they get deep into it, they just start to realize the community is toxic, bigoted as fuck. They don't align with their values. A lot of these people are like spousal abusers. Women especially notice this. And a lot of Americans and Europeans, they also get funneled into terror networks. That happens a lot. Muslims love it, especially when white people join the religion, and they try to radicalize them as much as possible. And they end up getting funneled down these terror tunnels, basically, where they'll just keep pushing you down, like getting you in contact with more and more radical Islamists. And then you end up in these terror networks. So Sneeko's going to come to a point where he sees some of the shit, notices that there's some really bad shit going on in the community that he really doesn't agree with, and he's going to end up leaving. And if he doesn't, he's going to sorely regret it, and it's going to be too late, and they're probably going to kill him. Thanks for the donation, though, Goomba.
Joey says,
what do you have to say to Richard?
Oh my god.
Do you love Richard? Do you love vegan games?
Oh my god, I love Joey.
I know you do.
What a good kitty.
You know how I know you do? Because I do.
Oh my god, I love Joey. So sentient. You can see the sentience right
Joey.
there.
Joey.
Jesus Christ. Oh, there's Maui.
You love Richard?
Oh my god, so orange and round.
Maui says, I can't be bothered. I just want to be fat. And I want to roll over.
Maui's so good.
Maui.
Oh my goodness. You have two really special kitties. Jesus Christ. Those are good cats. Thanks for the donation, Ethan, though. Yeah, what up, dude?
Yo, what's going on? How are you?
Good, man. Do you have your stream going?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. All right. So, basically, we're going to be debating veganism. We're definitely going to cover ethics, but if you have an interest, we can cover health and nutrition as well. I'm not sure if you know what veganism is. A lot of people hear different things from different vegans. Some people say it's just a diet. Some people will give you like an ethical explanation. So you're debating me specifically, and this is my definition of veganism. Veganism is an ethical belief, philosophy, and way of living which seeks to grant animals the same rights as human beings if they were to be trade equalized. So veganism and giving animals rights is just a logical extension of human rights. The reason it's a logical extension of human rights is because I don't see any meaningful difference between humans and animals where I would grant rights to humans but not rights to animals. So the challenge I would ask to you is to provide a symmetry breaker, some kind of meaningful difference between humans and animals that would make it logically consistent to grant humans rights, but not animals rights. So you're going to have to name a trait or set of traits that animals lack, but human beings do not lack. And in order to be logically consistent, if you are to identify these traits that are lacking in animals, if they were lacking in a human being, you would have to be okay with killing a human being and treating them the same way you would treat an animal.
Okay. So have we started, or
Yeah.
were you just like, we've started? I didn't even realize. My bad. Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, humans and animals are not the same. It's empirical. You know, you don't even have to put that much thought into it. But if you wanted to put a little bit more thought into it, one of the things that I would probably say is that we don't give the retarded the same rights that we give people of average or above average IQs, even below average IQ. There is a cutoff where you are not allowed to drive, you're not allowed to do certain things, own guns, fire guns, et cetera, if you do not have the IQ points to match, or if there's some other deficiency and things like that. And, I'm not saying animals are retarded necessarily, although there's some, I don't know. You can make the point, but
Well, compared to humans, yeah, they're basically retarded.
Yeah. And, because of that, it's obviously a sliding scale. It's not like we hunt and kill people with Down syndrome for meat or pelt or anything like that. But given the fact that they are so different from us on a level that literally makes them inhumane, I don't see a reason to view them as our equals in that way.
Yeah, so we still grant human rights to mentally retarded people. It's just that we take away some rights based on their level of competency and whether or not they're a harm to themselves or others. So we're not going to give somebody who's severely mentally disabled a right to drive, a right to own firearms. They may not even be allowed to live on their own, and they have to live in like a care home. And that's because there's an interest to the individual to protect themselves. Obviously, if a mentally disabled person was behind a wheel or had a gun, they could easily harm themselves or harm other people. And even if they were living alone, they could easily harm themselves or perhaps harm somebody else. Like if they have a severe autistic breakdown, they could just go out, attack somebody if they didn't have like a carer who could manage some of their, outbursts. So that doesn't mean we kill them and turn them into hamburgers. So they still have basic human rights. So again, in the proposition I made, animals would be granted the same rights as human beings if they were to be trade equalized. So the trait you named here was like cognitive capacity or, mental disability. So from my perspective, a dog, okay, they can't drive, they can't own a gun, they can't vote. A human being with that same lack of cognitive capability would have those same rights restricted, but we wouldn't be okay with killing the human. And most people also wouldn't be okay with killing a dog either, because we have this like weird thing with pets, but cows, chickens, pigs, relatively similar levels of intelligence. Pigs are actually, in fact, smarter than dogs. There's some like species of birds like parrots that are arguably smarter than dogs. It would be wrong to kill them for the same reason it would be wrong to kill a human being.
Well, it's just not to sit here and get up on semantics and things like that, but I just think it's interesting that you want to give human rights to non-human entities. It's just like I don't know. Maybe you should think of something different to call it then, if that's the case. And,
well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So,
What,
let's say Star Trek was real or something, and Vulcans came to Earth, and there was an intelligent alien species that came to Earth. They're not humans. We would grant them human rights because they have the same basic traits that we do. They're conscious, they're intelligent, they may even be more intelligent than us because they have interstellar travel. They even have very similar cultural norms. So we would still call it human rights because those were like we're granting the same rights that are granted to human beings. You can call it whatever you want. You could just call it universal rights. You could just call it rights, period. I'm just saying veganism is a logical extension of human rights, and human rights should be granted to animals, just so everyone understands what I'm talking about.
I call it dinner is what I call it. I mean, look, like, yeah, like I said, we don't hunt and kill the retarded for sport, obviously, right?
We have.
Well, hey, I don't agree with that necessarily, but at the end of the day, even comparing the retarded to dogs insofar as like a human is going to be able to like I don't know, I guess when it comes down to it, dogs and people are just not the same. And if you're going to sit here and try and conflate the two, you're running into problems that you cannot solve. You're running into circles that you cannot square. And if we're going to sit here and we're going to have those varying degrees, that sliding scale of how we treat certain individuals, it's regardless of what you say, it's going to be kind of tough for me to get behind the idea that we should give a gerbil the same rights that we would a human. And I forget if you went over it or not already. What would you define human rights as? Like, could you give me some examples of what human rights would be?
Well, we could just go by the International Human Rights Code. We could go by the American Human Rights Code. There's a well-established idea and process of human rights in most modern Western countries.
Okay, but what is that though?
Well, again, like, I don't know why, I don't know if we really have to discuss this. Like, do you agree with the idea of human rights? Like, should humans have rights?
Well, I mean, the thing is, when we're sitting here using loaded terms, and well, look, I don't want to call human rights a loaded term, but when we're using terms that are undefined, they can be loaded. They can be used in ways that are not quite clear or anything like that. You know, I'm not saying that that's what you're trying to do. I'm just saying that
I'm not using any loaded terms unless you disagree with the idea of human rights. Like, do you believe in like the United States Constitution, where you have basic rights and freedoms, you have a right to life, you have a right to freedom of expression, those sorts of things?
Well, I mean, you're talking about using international standards, and then you're changing it to American standards. Yeah, I believe in the Constitution.
Well, American standards align pretty perfectly with international human rights standards.
Not quite, but that's another conversation.
like there's differences in things like free speech, but that's also part of international human rights standards.
Okay.
It's just
So
that
you're
international human rights standards might not protect like hate speech, whereas in America it does.
so if a dog says something mean about Muslims, can they be arrested?
Like, I don't see them saying anything mean about Muslims, and if a dog were to say something mean about Muslims, I'd be all for it. There should be more criticism of Islam, if you ask me.
All right,
I would say
agree
that
on
dog
one.
is pretty goddamn based if he's calling the Prophet Muhammad a pedophile.
All right, we agree there. We agree there. Sorry, one sec.
So
When-
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
you're
you go ahead.
so I think you're getting kind of like weirded out at this idea of like, I don't know, a pig or a gerbil having human rights. So in the proposition, I outlined specifically that animals would have human rights if they were to be trade equalized to a human. So if a human had the same rough cognitive abilities, roughly the same degree of sentience, we would grant animals the same rights as that human being would have in that context. So because like a dog can't give political opinions or can't, you know, say anything that would be considered hate speech, or say something that would disturb the peace, like yell fire in a crowded theater. These just aren't issues. So you could ignore that. Like a dog isn't going to try to like advocate for its rights to vote. Those aren't the kinds of problems we're talking about here. The kinds of problems we're talking about is whether or not we'd be okay with living in a society where mentally disabled human beings would be killed and eaten for burgers, and whether or not we want to live in a society where animals with a similar level of intelligence would be killed and eaten for burgers. That's the fundamental issue we're talking about. And like we were talking about dogs a little bit specifically. Like I'm sure you don't want people to hit and abuse their dogs. You don't want people kicking their dogs. You don't want people using maybe pain compliance devices like shock collars or prong collars that would harm a dog's overall well-being. Things like that. So if you're going to give that sort of level of compassion and consideration to an animal like a dog, we are like we do live in a society where dogs are nearly treated as we would treat a mentally disabled child. They don't have quite the same rights and protections, but they do have close to the same rights and protections. We do already have, animal rights laws. It is illegal to kick your dog. It is illegal to abuse your dog. So if you agree with those sorts of principles for an animal like a dog, I don't know how you can't apply those same sorts of principles to other animals.
Well, the fact of the matter is, sorry, there's seems like my thing is malfunctioning, but the fact of the matter is, like, we know human rights to be more than what these animals are capable of even being able to utilize, right? That is part of what we have judged or used to judge over the years. And I know it hasn't been perfect, humanity's come a long way. But that's part of what we've used to judge over the years, whether or not a group specifically of humanoids was actually worth it insofar as, like, should we colonize? Should we build railroads and all this other stuff, right? We wouldn't do that to like the Snake Island in Brazil or anything like that, where there's like snakes every few feet. And I just feel that you're coming from a standpoint of trying to get me to say that I agree with human rights, which I of course do, but then using it in a way that is incongruent with the way that most people think of the situation. At the end of the day, like, I don't want to get, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to give human rights to a cow because, for one thing, it couldn't even grasp the concept, no matter how intelligent it is. It couldn't grasp the concept in the first place. And then, yeah, I like eating meat. Bottom line, I like steak. I had feijoada, right? It's pork and beans, Brazilian pork and beans. Very good. If you ever break veganism, you know, as unlikely as it is, try it out. It's a situation where I'm not afraid to say it. Like, fuck ethics, man. You know, I like steak. And then on top of that, even ethically, like I said, you just run into situations where you can't square circles, and you get to a point where you're saying, like, you know, you won't have to worry about them voting. You won't have to worry about, you know, hate speech. Of course, was being a little bit cheeky about that dog hate speech thing earlier. That was a joke. But you end up in a situation where you're picking and choosing, like, what human rights to afford it based off of what is going to make sense, as opposed to just taking human rights as a whole as we understand it. And I think that's dangerous because who's to say you can't apply human rights to other things? You know, like plants, for instance, trees. They communicate with each other to try and help each other, for one thing. You know, injured trees will help out other injured trees. And then you're talking about like compassion and things like that. Yeah, like, people are compassionate. That doesn't mean that you have to give an animal the right to you know, the right to do whatever it is they would be able to do under your system, other than not be eaten for food if they happen to be cattle or, you know, an animal that's hunted.
Yeah, so a few things to point out there. First of all, we wouldn't give human rights to plants or trees because they're not conscious. There is no way in which they could benefit from human rights. We only apply human rights to conscious beings. They are not sentient. They can't think or feel. They might have intelligence and be able to communicate with each other, but your phone has intelligence. AI has intelligence. That doesn't
AI
mean...
is just an algorithm, though.
Well, yeah. You could argue plants have their own kind of algorithm built into their DNA, but they're not sentient, which is why we wouldn't give them rights. Secondly...
go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
So, secondly, again, you're not actually, like, you have named a trait. So far the trait is intelligence, and what intelligence entails, like being able to advocate for your own rights. Mentally disabled people cannot advocate for themselves, especially if they're severely mentally disabled, but we still give them human rights because we understand they can think and feel, they can benefit from these rights, and we don't want to see other people suffer. We don't want to see them be abused or live out on the street and slowly rot away and die or harm themselves in some kind of way. If you're going to give mentally disabled people human rights, but you have a group of organisms that have roughly the same cognitive capacity, and in some cases greater cognitive capacity, I think pigs have been noted to have roughly the intelligence of a 4 or 5-year-old. Other animals like parrots, around the same level of intelligence. There are people who are so severely mentally disabled, I don't even know if you can really measure their level of intelligence. But we still grant them rights. So if you're going to say animals can't advocate for themselves, they don't have the mental capacity, but you would give human beings that share those same traits or lack of traits human rights, then what's the symmetry breaker? Because right now that's a contradiction.
The fact that they're human. They are humans, therefore they get human rights. And I know that under your idea, you know, oh well, human rights doesn't necessarily just have to be you know, afforded to humans, but that's the whole reason we're here, is to argue that You're trying to compare dogs to mentally disabled people in a way that's to say that a human and a dog should have the same ability to do whatever they feel like, regardless of whether they can think or feel. And that's the thing is, dogs can feel, right? They know when someone's being like mean, you know, whether physically, or you have some dogs that they will react, you know, when you're like yelling at them and stuff like that. They'll do the little pouty thing. But they aren't sentient in the way that humans are, and that's just a fact. They don't have the capacity for language. They don't have the ability to grasp complex concepts in the way that we do. I think they've been compared to like 7 or 8 year olds or something like that, and we don't give 7 or 8 year olds rights. You literally don't
do have rights as a
rights.
7 or 8 year old.
Yeah, a right to not be like you know, a right to not be like held against your will as a human being. But when you're born into captivity and that's all you know, that's all you've been trained for, or not trained for, but you know, that's what you are for as a cattle animal, like a cow or a pig or something like that. It's sort of a situation where it's like, look, like I don't have kids, but when I do, if somebody tries to tell me that the pig at the zoo should have the same rights as my 7-year-old son or daughter, I'm gonna tell them to fuck off. You know, it's just the way that it is.
Okay, so you mentioned the trait human, so we can add that on. How do you define human?
Human. Oh boy, we're getting into metaphysics here.
Well, it's not metaphysics, depending
well,
on
yeah,
how you define human. Is it just like species?
Yes, I'm making a joke. So a human. Well, you see, but that's the thing. You're purposefully trying to. It feels like you're purposefully trying to pigeonhole me into defining humans as strictly animals when that's much more broad. Do I believe we're animals? Yes, but I think we're probably a little bit more than animals given everything that is around us right now. Humans, I would say, are. I mean, hey, it's tough. You know, nobody's ever asked me that question.
Well, we're a species of ape.
It's sort of empirical.
Like, do you know what a woman is?
Yeah,
it's pretty easy to define. Like, do you know what a human is?
What's it called? 2X chromosomes, ovaries, vagina.
That's technically not the definition of a woman, but if we want to get pedantic, it has to do with sexual traits, not chromosomes. But in either case, humans are animals. We're a species of great ape, and human is defined as being a member of the species Homo sapiens sapien.
Look, just because your grandfather was a monkey doesn't mean mine was, bro. Fucking, like, I'm not, you know, I'm not someone who is a hardline Bible thumper, but I do believe there's more than humanity than oh, we're just descendants of great apes and things like that. I think there is something a lot more vast than we can understand.
Well, do you believe in evolution?
I could believe evolution is or was, you know, was and is a tool of God. Yeah. I think
well, it's fine. You can believe in God and believe in evolution.
Yeah. So,
yeah. So is that your definition, just being a part of the species Homo sapiens sapien?
Only because I haven't really put more thought into what makes a human. Well, you see, here's the thing. We're getting into. I was trying to avoid religion, but I'll just fuck it. We'll dive right in. God created Adam and Eve. He allowed Adam to name all of the animals. He gave them to us for food and other aspects. When we ended up getting sent down to earth, we got cast out of heaven. That's how we had to make our bread, you know, figuratively and literally, was working the field and hunting. God gave us the animals, right? I was trying to avoid it, but that's the way it is, you know?
Okay, but regardless of that, you agree? Like, do we agree on the definition of what a human is?
That you see, I don't want to agree with you, because even though it's not something I 1,000,000% object to, what I'm trying to say is I think there's more to it than just that. And I was trying to avoid philosophical or
Well, that's fine.
religious.
You can believe human beings have been granted some sort of special importance under God. I'm just asking whether or not you agree on the definition of like human.
All right, so yeah, we'll go by your definition just for the sake of trying to make the argument a little bit easier.
Right. So let's just say you could get species differentiation from a single generation. So somebody could birth someone else that isn't a human being. And let's say the person they birthed was mentally disabled. Would you be okay with killing that mentally disabled non-human that was birthed from a human being?
Well, I mean, depends on what we're talking about here. Are we talking about an abomination? Are we talking about something? Are we talking about something that's going to be suffering, or are we talking about basically
it could suffer if you turn it into hamburgers.
Well, if it's turned into hamburgers, it ain't suffering anymore.
Well, afterwards.
What do you mean afterwards? It's dead. It's already been turned into hamburgers. It's in my stomach.
On the way
being
there,
shit out.
it can suffer.
On the way there. All right, but is it suffering in the moment, and is it an abomination of some form?
I don't know what you mean by abomination, but just to be more clear, let's say we had some sort of special scanning tool that can scan your genome, and certain people born do not have the cluster genetics that would make them part of the human species. So they wouldn't be Homo sapiens sapien, they'd be something else.
I see what the I don't, hey, say no more, man. I see what's going on here. And my answer to that is, what if I had a magic wand that turned somebody from this allegedly suffering abomination into a human, or into say like a regular cow? What if I had something of that kind?
I don't know. But what would your stance be on like whether or not you grant that being human rights?
I don't know, because that was fucking preposterous what you just said to me, man. Like
okay, well, let me ask you maybe an easier question. If aliens came down to Earth, let's say Vulcans actually existed, it wasn't just some kind of fantasy thing out of Star Trek, but there was an alien species that came down to planet Earth, you would grant them human rights, correct? Like, you wouldn't say, well, you're not human, I guess I'll turn you into hamburgers.
Well, I mean, if they come down and they're sentient and they have the same capacity for
we'll assume they have
communication
the same,
and all that stuff, then yeah, I probably wouldn't be pulling out the meat grinder.
So the common denominator doesn't seem to be species. If there's an alternative species that is intelligent, you wouldn't want to kill them. But if there's an alternate species that is not intelligent, you would be okay with killing them.
Well, it entirely depends. Is the alternate unintelligent species a good food source? Because we don't kill tigers for food because they're not a good food source.
You can eat a tiger just fine. The reason we don't do it is primarily just because there's not an interest in killing and eating them.
Because
people do eat tigers.
Food source.
People do absolutely eat tigers.
I'm sure they can.
So like, what do you mean by good food source? Like, you can eat anything. You can
You
eat
can't
people. During the
you can't
Liberian
eat
Civil
any.
Wars, there was a lack of food, but there was a ton of dead bodies, and people would eat dead corpses to survive. People are a perfectly adequate food source.
Yeah, but the difference being that that's an abomination versus cattle. And you're asking me hypothetical questions because if you were to ask me about like cows or something like that, that would be
Well, I'm
again
asking you.
preposterous.
I'm asking you about your ethical values. So
My ethical
I'm just
values.
I'm just trying to find out whether or not you actually value some of these traits you're talking about. So you don't seem to particularly value whether or not a species is human, because that's not a common denominator to take away human rights. You seem to care about things like intelligence. So if there was an intelligent, non-human species, you wouldn't want to kill and eat them. But if there was a non-intelligent, non-human species, you would be fine with killing and eating them.
You see, again, this is a hypothetical that I don't really feel is it's just weird the line of questioning you're trying to lead me down, where you're just gonna continue asking questions that are designed to try and get me in some kind of weird gotcha. And now that I'm calling you out on it, you're saying you're just trying to gauge my ethics.
Well, yeah,
It's just
I'm
strange, man. Like at the end of the
well,
day, cows are food. That's just what they are.
the
No amount of fucking like aliens coming down and being either retarded or autistic savants is going to change that, you know?
Yeah, so the proposition I made is really just pointing out that I don't think there's any way of advocating for killing animals without also advocating for taking away human rights.
And why is that?
Well, I think we're demonstrating that over the course of this discussion. If you're fine with killing, if you're fine with killing people that are, non-human animals that are mentally retarded, or lack the kind of cognitive capability that your average human has, that would logically entail that you would be okay with killing mentally disabled human beings, or at least a species that you would have an interest in granting rights.
You see, this is what I'm talking about. You're asking questions that are designed to just get deeper and deeper and more like weird and complex in a bid to try and catch me, so that this was your big reveal, was like you'd kill retarded people. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, bro? What are you doing here right
Okay,
now,
well,
man?
how about we get away from talking about aliens?
Yeah, let's
so
keep talking about retards.
You believe in you believe in evolution, correct?
Yeah.
So humans evolved from apes, which evolved from some sort of monkey-like creature, which evolved from some sort of other simpler being. How far back in our evolutionary history would you be okay with killing our ancestors?
What, for food, or just killing them in general? Because I'd never eat an ape.
So killing them for food.
Yeah, I'd never eat an ape, you know?
Well, why
Comes
not?
down to it all, huh?
Well, why not?
Not a good food source, at least not the way I see it. Not appealing to me. Somebody else
they're-
wanted.
So people have and do eat apes. It's bushmeat.
People eat shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you said not having the cognitive capacity of a human being and not being part of the human species were the two traits. If you go back far enough in our evolutionary history, we wouldn't be part of the genus Homo, and we wouldn't have human level intelligence. So how far back in our evolutionary history would be okay to kill our ancestors and eat them?
Beats me. I'd say probably whatever common ancestor we had with all the other apes, because we aren't we aren't descended from apes in the way that people think we are. It's not like there's it's not like we sprang out of the apes we see today. There was a common ancestor, and they did that.
Yeah. So you're saying from the point where we split off from like chimpanzees?
Yeah, and again, these are like ridiculous questions. I'm only entertaining them for the sheer amusement. But yeah, if you put a gun to my head and said you're gonna die if you don't pick one to kill, I'm probably gonna go back to the ape that split off into what we have today and us, or even earlier than that if it comes down to it.
Okay, so
and no, I wouldn't kill my own.
Right, so if there was another intelligent species that was on the planet, or say an alien civilization that came to Earth, saw our ancient ancestors and said, they're not as smart as us, they don't have our Vulcan level of intelligence, so it's okay to kill and eat them, you'd be fine with that other intelligent life form basically preventing humanity from ever existing.
Are we really on fucking ancient aliens right now, dude? This is the turn we've taken.
Well, it's not necessarily ancient aliens. Let's just assume there was like another intelligent life form on the planet. Like maybe dinosaurs evolved a higher level of intelligence and weren't wiped out, and they saw these like chimpanzees, running, or chimpanzee-like being. You'd be fine with wiping out all of humanity because you have.
Dude, I'd help them out.
Yeah,
I'd help them out. I'd drop the fucking nuke, bro.
Okay, well, I think you're being a little facetious, but
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but this is kind of like, this is what is entailed from your moral values. You'd have to be okay with, some other intelligent life forms wiping out all of humanity before we had a chance to evolve and gain the intelligence we have today, because you think, these two traits, or really it's just one trait, because you seem to really only care about intelligence. Like if you were to come across a cow that was as intelligent as any human being and could read and write and, learn human culture, you wouldn't be okay with killing the cow, presumably, right?
I mean, hey, if it means I get to eat steak, you know what? Yeah, I would.
You would?
I would. Yeah, fuck him. Fuck that cow.
Okay, well, I think you're joking.
No, I'm not.
I'm pretty sure you're not being serious. But I like being real for a second here. You would actually be okay with all of humanity getting wiped out before we ever actually got a chance to exist, because again, presumably it's okay to just wipe out creatures that are not at a certain level of intelligence.
Survival of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest. That's all you care about.
Yep.
Well, if that's all you care.
I'm a social Darwinist, dude. I think
Social
heroin
Darwinist.
users, unless they're willing to get help, I think they should be left completely and totally alone to do whatever the hell they feel like.
So
if they wanna fuck themselves up, go right ahead. Just don't do it on my tax money.
So
Either that, or if we're gonna have tax money, actually make it so that they're going to get the help.
So I'm curious, if you're interested in survival of the fittest and Darwinism, social Darwinism, do you see any problem with like genocides or holocausts?
What, as in like the Armenian genocide?
Yeah, or the
Holodomor?
Nazi, like the Jewish genocide or Holocaust, any of these, because
the Jews genocided somebody.
Well, no, the Nazis.
Those
Because
guys.
again,
Yeah, I don't like those
presumably
guys.
survival of the fittest. If there's a weaker culture that gets wiped out, that would be fine, right?
Whatever you say, man. Whatever you say.
Well,
yeah.
I'm just trying to understand your moral values.
Because humans shouldn't be rounded up like cattle, and whatever the hell happened in whatever Holocaust or Holocaust, Holodomor, Great Leap Forward. That's not something that should be happening to humans. And it's not happening because people are like, oh, yes, we need food. At least I would like to think the Nazis didn't cannibalize the Jews or any of the gypsies or
The Japanese
gays or anything
did.
like that. Yeah, well, hey, take that up with them, man. That ain't none of my business. Those guys have always been weird as far as I'm concerned. But fucking the bottom line is there's a difference between the Holocaust and the Purdue chicken factory, even though the Purdue chicken factory is pretty disgusting. And the cattle should be treated better overall. To compare the two is like insane. I'm sorry, but it's they're just not the same. They're just not.
Well, again, you've stated that if we go back far enough in human history where we split off from chimpanzees, you would have been fine with our ancestors being rounded up like cattle and getting turned into burgers. So if you're fine with the human species never having existed, I don't know how you could, well, I guess that's the only way to justify chicken farming or cattle farming or any of this sort of farming. But it's hard for me to believe that you actually are okay with the idea of us never existing, assuming some other intelligent species had the same kind of preferences you had or sensibilities you had, where they're less intelligent than us, so I guess we can just wipe them out, turn them into hamburgers or chicken nuggets or what have you.
Well, that's just the thing. We exist. It didn't happen. And if it did happen, I wouldn't be here to be having this conversation.
Right, but
So-
you have the benefit of being here and thinking about this. So
And I've thought about it, and I like hamburgers.
So your way of justifying eating hamburgers is it's okay if the human species were to have been wiped out.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. How about we talk about some like nutrition topics if you're interested?
Oh, dude, I'm just the man for that.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, there's certain dietary
They
patterns.
call me the pot-belly ginger.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
so there's certain dietary patterns that I think are ideal for the human race. Diets that are high in plant foods, particularly fruits and vegetables, and high in fiber. Beans and lentils seem to be the food that is most highly correlated with longevity. Avoidance of saturated fat and cholesterol. And getting the majority of your fat sources from poly and monounsaturated fat sources seem to be ideal, and avoiding red meat in particular. Those seem to be dietary patterns that are ideal for human health. That sort of dietary pattern causes the least prevalence of obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. So a dietary pattern that fits that best would be a vegan diet that consists of mostly whole foods. What do you think of that?
Hey, I don't know, man. Fucking beats the hell out of me. I do know that meat is healthy for you, regardless of what you are trying to say about it. At the end of the day, nobody gets out of life alive, and if I live to be 70 or 75, I'm gonna die anyway. So, when it comes down to it, I think I'm totally okay with. I think I'm totally okay with the lack of the purported, the alleged lack of health that apparently is coming with me eating my burger and stuff like that.
Okay, but if you had an interest in living longer and avoiding chronic disease, would you agree that, okay, so assuming you would have an interest, you might not personally, but assuming you would have an interest in living as long as you could, while avoiding chronic disease. Would you agree that sort of dietary pattern is ideal for that sort of goal?
I don't know if you're telling the truth. I don't know if you know whether you're telling the truth or not. I think you probably just picked your cherry picked studies and things like that, and you're now trying to turn around and be like, "Oh, you see, plants are us." Dude, just like Kellogg's breakfast cereal, fucking, they funded their own studies and shit like that. Like that shit still happens today. I don't believe anyone when it comes to food. I'll be honest with you, but I do know that humans have been omnivorous since the dawn of time, and you can eat whatever you want at the end of the day. I don't think I don't think you're gonna die immediately because you don't have a steak, but also, yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's 100% true. We keep figuring out things that were incorrect from 5 years ago. And people still talk about those things as though they're 100% true. Like cholesterol in eggs. Eggs have good. Oh fuck! I almost just poked the shit out of myself. Cholesterol in eggs. Eggs actually have good cholesterol in them. There's two types of cholesterol. I think it's like HDL and LDL. I think HDL is the good cholesterol. I remember growing up, people were like, "Don't eat eggs because they have cholesterol in them." It was the good fucking cholesterol. That's just an example of like how muddied the waters are when it comes to food. So when it comes down to it, yeah, sure. In theory, if everything you're saying is correct, all right, fine. Yeah. Sounds great. Sounds fantastic. I still don't care. Doesn't matter to me at all. I don't plan on living forever. But yeah, sure.
Well, a few things to point out. So the longest living population on the planet is the Californian Adventist vegetarians. They're the longest living population of people that have ever been studied. Now, in places like Okinawa, Japan, there's a higher amount of centenarians, so people living over 100, but their average life expectancy isn't quite as high. So the reason you see more centenarians there is probably due to genetics as opposed to like lifestyle factors. Secondly, there's very large and long-term cohorts like the Adventist Health Studies and the Oxford Vegetarian Cohort. Vegans and vegetarians do live longer than just typical meat eaters. And on top of that, there's trials like the Leon Hart trial, where they put people on a Mediterranean diet pattern, again, lowered their saturated fat and cholesterol intake, ate more whole plant foods, more beans, lentils, fruits and vegetables, and lowered their red meat intake. And that's one of the most successful trials for treatment of heart disease. And the egg thing you mentioned, eggs do raise your LDL bad cholesterol, which is it's the primary cause of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. So eggs will raise your HDL cholesterol somewhat, but the majority of the increase in your serum cholesterol score is going to come in the form of the bad kind of cholesterol, the LDL. So
Did you know that bodybuilders live less time on average?
yes, and that's due to their bad diet and steroid use. And also the stress from competing, like the dehydration and crap.
How do you know it's not specifically because they're lifting weights? How do you know lifting weights isn't bad for you?
Well, there's studies on this.
Studies by who? Big Planet Fitness?
No. I think it was done by the National Institute of Health. They have found benefits with resistance training. So people who resistance train tend to live longer.
Yeah, and no, I actually agree with that as somebody who is in the MMA world myself. I don't disagree with that, right? But the point that I'm trying to make with that is that you're sitting here pointing to all these people who there are a lot more other things that go on in their life other than them just sitting around eating vegetables all the time. This is actually something that was, to my understanding, noticed in Italy and Italian communities in America. All of a sudden, they went from being a pretty healthy group of people to having a bunch of heart problems and shit like that. And it was because of the diet, but two, the fact that instead of having to walk around and work with their bodies and things like that, cars got invented. Public transportation got invented when they came over from their rustic Italian towns to, New York, the North End, Boston, things like that, right? What I'm saying is, for one thing, obviously the Seventh-day Adventists are going to be like, yeah, we're the best. The way our way of life is the best. But at the end of the day, to sit here and chalk it up to just their diet, that's not nearly the whole picture.
Yeah, so there's no prospective cohort that looks at raw data. They make adjustments to the data set to account for lifestyle factors like exercise, cigarette smoking, socioeconomic status, alcohol consumption, and after adjusting for all of these factors, they are still the longest living population that has been studied. They do live longer than your average American. So, again, the diet seems to play the significant role here. That's what they're analyzing. They're measuring like for like. They're not comparing populations of people who don't smoke, don't drink, are wealthy, eat very well, exercise, to a population of people who eat poorly, smoke, drink, never exercise, are poor. They're measuring like for like.
What about Indians? They do eat chicken, right? They do eat chicken, so it's not the best. It's not the best, I suppose. But they don't eat meat, or excuse me, they don't eat red meat, and because of that, a lot of their diet seems to be literally spices half the time. But in addition to that, a bunch of other things that are non-meat related. How like have you ever have you ever bothered to look into them? Have you ever bothered to look into anybody else who's not like what you would consider to be like a good representation of your ideology?
Yeah, so Indians do have higher rates of heart disease, and that seems to be due to their saturated fat consumption, primarily. So they eat a lot of dairy in the form of butter, clarified butter, also called ghee. So that's probably the main reason why you see higher rates of heart disease in Indians. I've talked to some doctors who've also said they also just have narrower arteries. I don't know if that's true. There might be some genetic differences where they're more prone to atherosclerosis. But they eat a lot of saturated fat. There's also issues with like malnutrition and crap in India. There's a lot of poor people. I think they also have a pretty high smoking prevalence. And pollution in India is also really bad. There's a lot of like smog from like the traffic jams and cars running all day. There's a variety of reasons why you see higher rates of heart disease in places like India, despite them eating much lower quantities of red meat. People have also pointed out the Japanese, they have very low rates of heart disease despite eating a very high cholesterol intake. Now, they eat very low amounts of saturated fat, and saturated fat has a much bigger effect on your serum cholesterol score and thus your risk of heart disease than dietary cholesterol. So that accounts for those sorts of differences.
Okay.
So again, if we have an interest in living longer, healthier lives, I would say a plant-based dietary pattern is going to be ideal. And if you have an interest in not being a genocidal asshole who pays for animals to get tortured and murdered, you might also not want to eat meat.
And if you want to live a little before you ultimately fall off this mortal coil, I say order a 12-ounce ribeye.
Well, you can eat plenty of good vegan food, dude. You should check out my Instagram. I post some like food there. I got some really good vegan Chinese takeout. You can eat good food on a vegan diet, and you can enjoy those sorts of foods and live a little longer and a little healthier. So it's a win-win. You don't harm animals, you're healthier, and you can enjoy all the foods you used to enjoy.
Except steak.
Well, there's vegan steaks. They're usually made out of seitan.
That's not a steak.
Well,
That's
it's the plant-based
That's
version of the
Satan.
steak. By the way, what's your best bench press?
I don't lift weights like that.
No? Okay. I just benched 410 a few weeks ago.
Cool. Congrats.
You want to do a bicep flex? Compare arms?
Nah, I'd rather box.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
actually, I contacted iDubbbz, and I told him I wanted to fight with Sam Hyde, but he never got back to me.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say about that guy.
Yeah. He's kind of become ultra cucked.
Yeah. Whatever it is, good luck to him.
But you do have an interest in the betterment of humanity in general, though, don't you?
I wouldn't say I am completely disinterested, but it's something where I realize we're all sinners. We're here because we turned away from God's light, and because of that, we had to be separated from Him. We were not worthy of heaven. And on this mortal coil, for one thing, we were given animals as a source of food and beasts of burden, and in some cases, pets. And when we die, we are going to be judged. And one of those judgments, one of the criterias of those judgments is not going to be, did you open up the cage and let the chickens run free?
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
So, if you believe in these biblical stories, what kind of foods do you eat in a garden?
What kind of foods do you eat in a garden?
Yeah, the Garden of Eden. What kind of foods do you normally eat in a garden?
Vegetables. Although in the Garden of Eden, that's where Adam named all of the animals that God created.
Well, he named them. Does it mention he ate them?
It's been a while since I've read the story.
It
but
didn't
I
mention
would assume it
anything
did.
about eating them.
Well, when we got sent down here, we were told that animals were to eat.
Yeah, so there's actually a passage from the Bible that says, "No evil shall enter my kingdom, no animals shall be slaughtered." It seems like the original plan that God had was for human beings to just eat plants. So if you want to fall in line with God's plan, why wouldn't you adopt a plant-based diet?
Holy shit, bro. In the Old Testament, it literally tells you which animals you can eat and which animals you cannot eat. And it's not even about, well, this is a good animal. It's literally like clean versus unclean.
Yeah, but like I said, God's original plan was for humans to live in the Garden of Eden. There was never any
Yeah, and we
mention
fucked
of
that
killing
up.
animals. There was, you know what kind of foods you typically eat in a garden. So if you wanted to live more in alignment with God, why wouldn't you eat a plant-based diet?
God's original plan, regardless of what it was, is not the plan that's going on now. We got cast down from the Garden of Eden, from paradise, because we ate a fruit. We ate fruit, and everything went to shit. Eat a steak, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so you're admitting you're committing sin by eating meat.
No.
Yeah, you are.
When the fuck did I say that?
Well, you admit that. Again, God's original plan was for people to eat a plant-based diet, just eating foods you'd typically see in a garden. It's also mentioned in the Bible that once you go into his kingdom, no animals are slaughtered. So there's no meat in heaven.
Yeah, in his kingdom.
Yeah, there's no meat in heaven.
That's
so
different from down here where we were told to eat
the
food that was given to us by God, which includes cattle and other wild animals.
We weren't supposed to eat them. So,
well, God told us to. I'm just
well,
listening
he
to
didn't.
God. I don't need to
He
listen
didn't
to
tell
games. I
you
need
to
to
eat
listen to
them.
God.
He
Yeah,
didn't tell you to eat them. He said
we were literally told by God
at
what
best,
animals we can
at
and
best,
cannot eat.
At best, he said it's permitted. So
And
you're going away from God, according to your, biblical scripture, if you eat meat. On top of that, if you look at the New Testament, Jesus also walked into some of these temples and said that it's a bloodbath. It's a slaughterhouse. He was actually mad at these temples for slaughtering animals. He didn't want to see that. He thought it was wrong to slaughter animals.
He thought it was wrong to sacrifice animals and other, humans for that matter. Although that was an Old Testament thing anyway that was carried over. But he thought it was pointless and frankly ridiculous to sacrifice animals.
He didn't say it was
God.
Pointless. He said it was immoral. He called it a bloodbath. He referred to it as a slaughterhouse. He didn't like animals being killed. Period.
Yes, because these Pharisees, I forget what the Jews call their priests, but these holy men were doing so in a way that was more so just a ritual for ritual's sake, like in the way that if you were to eat meat and be like, oh no, it's fine because I'll just eat double the lentils tomorrow. That's what he was referring to. That's why he was fed up with the way that they were acting in the temple. And that's what happened when he went into the temple and saw money changers also doing their thing. He ended up driving them out with a bullwhip. So are you saying that money is not ethical as well because Jesus said so?
Well, he was against usury.
Christian. Oh yeah.
He wasn't against money, he was against usury.
Yes, but he was also against
slaughtering animals
in the temple.
He was also against slaughtering animals. He
in
criticized
the temple as a way to get away with
he just plain and simple was against slaughtering animals. And again, if you believe in God, you would believe in the Holy Trinity. Jesus would have said, no evil shall enter my kingdom, and no animals should be slaughtered. Jesus sees animal slaughter as evil.
Yeah, slaughtering animals in order to try and cover up the great sins that you committed against God. Yes.
He sees animal slaughter as evil.
That is quite literally what it was.
Again, God is quoted as saying, no evil shall enter my kingdom, no animals shall be slaughtered. He sees animal slaughter as evil. So you're committing evil by slaughtering animals according to your own beliefs.
You're purposefully taking allegory. You're purposefully taking allegory and interpreting it purposefully because it fits your thing. You've memorized like 3 or 4, not even full passages, just like the like literally like the 4 or 5 words each.
So if God
that allows you to believe that you know something about
if
Christianity,
God says,
and then you turn around and you try and spit it at me as though I don't know my shit. I might not be a Bible thumper. I might not be the kind of person who can quote things off of memory, but I have read not all of the Bible, most of the Bible. I'm working on it.
So tell me, how would Jesus slaughter an animal?
How would Jesus slaughter an animal? Probably in as humane a way as possible, and he wouldn't do it just for the sake of it, or do it to try and cover up his sins.
So you're saying Jesus wouldn't eat meat if he didn't have to?
I don't know what he would have done. Maybe not.
So again,
I don't even know how you.
Where in the Bible did Jesus ever kill an animal?
I don't know.
Nowhere.
I don't think he. Nowhere. I don't think it was ever. Dude, where in the Bible did Jesus take a shit?
Okay, well, we can presume he may have taken shits. I don't think that's an important detail that an author would write.
We can presume, seeing as how this is 1st century Bronze Age. I believe, yeah, it's literally the Bronze Age, and they didn't just have supermarkets back then. Chances are Jesus probably slaughtered an animal or two.
Why doesn't it? then why does it never make any mention of him ever killing an animal? It says he was a shepherd, he took care of his sheep, never mentions anywhere that he killed any animals, never mentions anywhere that he ever even ate meat.
Jesus was a carpenter. Again, you're taking allegory.
He was a carpenter and he was a shepherd. He kept sheep.
All right, sure. But bottom line, you're taking allegory and trying to use it literally, and it's
not just allegory. Like, do you think
allegory.
so? Do you think him slaughtering animals and maybe his like dietary habits, that might have been something authors at the time might have taken interest in? If they never mentioned anywhere that he ever killed an animal, never mentioned anywhere that he would kill an animal in any kind of specific way, and again, it's also mentioned that God sees animal slaughter as a form of evil. God's initial plan for human beings was to live in a garden where nobody ate any meat. Why, if you're a Christian, would you have any interest in killing any of these animals?
Because God said we are allowed to kill animals for food. And
you don't need to.
Certain other tasks. Bottom line, that is what it said. Now you're trying to. I literally did a stream on this yesterday. Don't watch it. I kind of it was a little all over the place. It wasn't the best stream of mine, but you're using Christianity. You're using doctrine from an egoist standpoint. You're not actually worried about what is said and what is meant by it. You're worried about how you can apply it to your standpoint. And like, I don't know what your chat's saying. They're probably your diehards.
Well,
they're probably like, yeah, get him, man, get him.
Well, tell me.
At the end of the day, dude, fucking, you're just incorrect. You're incorrect.
What would Jesus think of your beliefs that it's okay to wipe out all of humanity because it's okay to, like, eat burgers?
I think Jesus is a smart guy. I think Jesus is a real smarter. Is probably smarter than me. Definitely smarter than you. And he would probably see that specifically that part of our little debate here was completely and totally ridiculous, and that I was obviously being facetious, because why would I take that seriously? Oh, what if we weren't here? We are here.
Okay, so are you saying you don't actually agree with the argument you made earlier?
I'm saying that I was just saying whatever the hell I felt like in the moment, literally whatever came to my head. And yeah, you can extrapolate from that whatever you want.
You know,
really
lying is a sin.
Here. Huh?
You know, lying is a sin.
Bearing false witness. Different from telling a white lie to a guy who thinks he's trying to mog me over his bicep weight when I beat the shit out of him if it came down to it.
Okay, well, maybe once I get into some MMA training, we can see about that.
You got a little shaky there. Well, maybe.
No.
It's all right, dude. I'm on the other side. I can't get you. I can't get you. Relax.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I know what that was earlier.
All right. Well, maybe we can find out about that later. But anyway, do you think Jesus would make up lies like this and be dishonest? And when somebody's trying to have an actual debate, do you think Jesus would make up these kind of silly lies?
Actually, Jesus was in plenty of ridiculous debates, and he knew how ridiculous they were, and he handled them maybe not exactly the way I handled them. But then again, I never made the claim that I am or are anything like Jesus, right? But yeah, no, look, Jesus knows a con. Jesus knows bullshit when he sees it, and he knows how to handle it in a way that is not going to be all fucked up, you know? So,
okay, so do you think Jesus would have a problem with the way animals are treated today?
in some ways, yeah, probably. Like if you think if you're under the impression I support like factory farming, no, of course not. I don't know anybody who is. Anybody who is probably a factory farmer.
95% of animals on the planet, including in the United States, are factory farmed. So the likelihood of you never eating factory farmed meat is practically zero. So you are, in fact, in support of it.
Okay.
So do you think it's important for Christians to be in line with Christ?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you are not in line with Christ when you eat meat.
Not quite how it works.
Well, yes, you just said Jesus would not approve of factory farming. You buy and eat factory farmed meat. So you are not in line with Christ.
Jesus also said that, Jesus and just the Bible in general says that you shouldn't steal. But if you are absolutely positively out of options, maybe you got to steal.
Well, you're never out of options.
Yeah. All right. Well, whatever you say, man. Bottom line is, I like meat. I'm gonna keep eating meat, and God's fine with that. You can continue to use my religion for your.
You just admitted God is not fine with that. You just admitted Jesus would not approve of factory farming.
You can keep trying to catch me in this weird thing where you use my religion, the word of my Lord, as some egotistical means to try and convince me or whoever you're trying to convince that meat is evil 100% of the time, and you should never eat it, and you should switch to a plant-based diet. But the bottom line is there is multiple passages that refer to the consumption of meat. Some of them are rules and regulations. Others are literally just, oh, they slaughtered meat. There is no they slaughtered meat and God got mad. It's just they slaughtered meat and they ate it. That's it.
Yeah, so you just said God would not approve of factory farming. You also admitted that you support factory farming. So you're doing things that God does not approve of, while claiming we should be in alignment with Christ.
You know what? Maybe you do. Maybe you do need to watch my stream from yesterday. It's only an hour long. It's not that hard. We're all sinners. None of us are actually in alignment with Christ.
Well, look, when you knowingly and willingly commit sin on the day of judgment, what do you think God's going to think of that?
The foundation of Christianity is the understanding that we are all sinners and that we fall short of God's glory and Christ's glory. And we have to try our best. But when our back
you're not
is
trying
against
your
the wall,
best.
I'm trying as best I can, man.
No, you're not. You could eat a plant-based diet and never support factory farming, but you choose not to do that.
No, I couldn't.
You absolutely could. If I can do it, then what is stopping you?
I can't bench 400 something pounds. That's what's stopping me, man.
Okay, well, regardless of how much you can bench, that doesn't make it impossible to not support factory farming. So when you're doing things that are well within your control, where you're knowingly committing some kind of act of sin or wrongdoing, on the day of judgment, God asks you, okay, well, why did you do this? Like, do you think, oh, well, I couldn't do it. Like, do you think that's going to fly? Because I think God would know if you could or could not do it, and I think God, with his infinite wisdom, would know you absolutely could have, and you just chose not to. Just like any other wrongdoing you could commit. Like if you were to rape a child, like do you think telling God, well, I just couldn't not rape the child? Like
you're gonna compare eating meat to child rape?
I'm not comparing it to child rape. I'm just saying the excuse.
What are you doing, man?
So I'm just saying that excuse is nonsense. If you can live through life never raping children, never murdering somebody, never stealing, you can absolutely go through life never supporting factory farming.
Sure, whatever you say. Look, God has more important things to worry about than factory farming, even if it is something on the list, especially with someone like me. I've been around the block, man. All right.
So do you think God is?
I think when it comes to face up to what I've done in my life, I don't think I don't think eating Purdue chicken is going to be.
Do you think God is concerned with pandemic diseases that kill millions of people each year?
Probably, yeah. But then again, those can also
where do you think those diseases originate from?
Punishments from him as well.
Well, where do you think those diseases originate from?
Could be a bunch of different places.
They originate from animal farming. So where do you think the flu virus came from? Flu virus originated from human beings eating waterfowl.
It's a very nice pivot there. That was a very seamless transition, I will say.
Well, thank you.
You lost the religion debate, so you're like, oh, let's talk about pandemics.
Well,
Where
we're
did
still on
HIV
religion.
come from?
Where
Did
yeah, HIV
come
came from people eating
factory
bushmeat,
farming?
particularly chimpanzees.
I heard it was from fucking chimpanzees.
No.
You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
No. So HIV
just making
came
sure.
from eating meat. Tuberculosis came from eating meat. Smallpox came from eating meat. All of these diseases that we're afflicted with have come from us eating meat. And you just mentioned that these diseases, they're a punishment from God. Do you think they might have been a punishment for eating meat?
Nope.
Well, they came from human beings' close proximity with animals through agriculture.
Do you think Sodom and Gomorrah was a punishment for eating meat? They were eating meat there.
The story of Sodom and Gomorrah, that was a punishment for being gluttonous, inhospitable, just terrible people.
In addition to...
What?
In addition to...
Well, they tried to rape an angel.
Ooh. Man, maybe if smallpox, if the flu virus, etc., was indeed a punishment from God, which not all of them are punishments from God, but you know, there's a few that you could probably convince me of. It's not for eating meat.
How do you know that?
It's for other things. Because as I said,
how do you know that?
As I said,
how do you know that?
As I said, eating meat is permitted.
Yeah, so how do you know that? So how do you know these aren't punishments for eating meat?
So how do you what?
How do you know those aren't punishments for eating meat?
How do you know they are?
Well, I'm asking you, how do you know they're not?
But how do you know they are?
Well, I'm not saying I know they are. I'm asking you, how do you know they're not?
And I'm not saying
there's no way for you to know that.
I'm not saying I know they're not, other than the fact that I would guess, seeing as how it is literally stated in the Bible what animals you can and cannot eat. So,
have you ever eaten pork?
Yes.
Okay. So
I ate pork tonight.
Okay, so please explain to me why you call yourself a Christian, that you say we should follow God, and then you're deliberately going against God's word.
That's an Old Testament thing that when Jesus came, he specifically said it's okay to eat pork.
Where did Jesus ever say it's okay to eat pork?
I don't have the exact quote, the passage right in front of me, but there were plenty of things that when Jesus came, he quite literally said it was okay or not okay to do, depending. And
so Jesus never
said
it's okay to eat pork.
I don't know. Like I would, or what I mean is, I don't know what passage he said that it was okay.
He
to eat
never
pork.
said
But
it's okay to eat pork.
There were plenty of passages in the New Testament where Jesus would do things and they'd be like, yo, what the hell are you doing? Like, for instance, hand washing, and ritual bathing was a big part of the Old Testament. And Jesus would eat without washing his hands at times. And they'd be like, yo, what the hell are you doing, dude? And he would end up saying, it's not about clean hands, it's about a clean soul, essentially, is what he would end up saying. I don't know where you're getting your information from to be so sure that he never said you're allowed to eat pork. Or
well, it's interesting he mentioned having a clean soul is important because there are things like the Daniel fast that, again, that state meat corrupts the soul.
Sure thing. Yeah, whatever, man. Okay.
Okay. Well, I think we might as well wrap this up. I don't like, as I mentioned before, I don't think there's any way of justifying meat eating without also accepting that it's okay to take away human rights. I think that I was able to demonstrate that in this debate. My debate opponent actually later retracted arguments he made, claiming, oh, it was all a joke, so this whole conversation was basically a waste of time because he wasn't able to even provide an argument.
It was obviously a joke from the get-go.
Yeah, so he wasn't actually able to provide an argument against the vegan position. I think I was
vegan
also
position is gay.
Yeah, I think I was also able to demonstrate that vegan diets are healthful.
He just agreed with me.
Okay, you put pork in your mouth, so yeah, who's gayer here? So, I was also able to demonstrate that vegan diets are helpful.
It's gay. That's all you need.
And I think I was also able to demonstrate, based on his own beliefs, he's a hypocrite. If he considers himself a Christian,
we're all hypocrites,
who
Mr.
wants
Burgess.
to, well, I'm not. So
Yeah,
maybe if God exists, he's going to judge me favorably on the day.
God
of
will
judgment.
strike you down in your hubris. Where is your shame in the face of our Lord?
And this guy claims to be a Christian, claims to be a follower of Christ, but deliberately goes against values that he believes Christ holds. So, all right. Do you want to make an ending statement or anything?
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Okay. All right. Well, take care, dude. Maybe we can talk another time or something about maybe another topic. But
yeah, sure.
Enjoy the rest of your night, man.
You too. Have a good one.
All right. Well, that was nice and retarded, as I suspected it would be.
Luigi, how did you not know I'm Joe Linton? Like all the chat knew, and even fucking Christy knew. I think, like, literally, how didn't you know? I'm sure I've said before. Also, please smoke some weed and have edibles and get high.
Maybe later. Thanks for the donation, Booty Kim.
And SJWS say that only white people can be ras at bull fucking shit.
Yes, just about anybody can be racist. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Sengoku donated $2. Look at the comment section. Tell me what you think of this video.
Stop doing your deadlifts like a stripper. I'm not sure what influencer taught you this, but you're going to end up with a bad back. Here's how you do it instead. What we want to do is we want to keep a neutral spine. We want to make sure we're hip hinging correctly, and we want to make sure that our neck is staying in line with our spine.
So it is totally fine to have some degree of extension in your lumbar spine. It does not cause bad backs, and your neck does not need to be aligned with the rest of your spine. When you have crazy, weird head positions, so like if your neck literally goes up like that, that can cause problems, but most people, their head follows along with the rest of their spine anyway.
So what we're going to do, keeping our spine neutral. We don't want to go in extension. We don't want to go in flexion. We want to keep it neutral. So I'm sending.
It's fine if your spine is an extension or flexion.
My butt back, but my spine stays neutral. The stripper deadlift was here. We don't want to be there. We want to be straight. Tip number 2, we want to be in a hip hinge position. Hip hinge means my shoulders are above my hips are above my knees, and there's space between
That's not what a hip hinge means.
my knees and my glutes. We're not just bending over. This is not a deadlift. This is not a hinge. We are
A deadlift is a hinge movement.
sending the butt back. Notice there's space between the glutes and the knees. Tip number 3, we're keeping.
Yeah, so there's stiff leg deadlifts where you are primarily just hinging at the hips.
Our neck neutral. So don't look up when you're doing your deadlifts. Look down at the ground. So to set this all up and put it together, I'm going to stand over my kettlebell. I'm going to hinge back, keeping my spine nice and neutral until I reach that kettlebell, grab it, break that bell in half to pack those lats.
Yeah, so If you're deadlifting with a sufficiently heavy weight, you do not want to retract your lats like that. You're going to tear a lat muscle.
Push the ground away from you to come up to a standing plank position. Notice my neck is in a line with my spine the whole time. This will help you have a...
That was a bad deadlift demonstration. People thinking she's saying strippers can't work out properly or missing the... Okay, that's just fucking stupid. Stop using stripper as a derogatory term. Like a stripper, are you insulting hard-working people? Why are people hanging on to that stripper word? Your stripper comments are offensive and ironic. Okay, Karen. Great tips, but there's no need to use the word stripper. What are people's fucking problems? Who fucking cares? That just was not a good deadlift demonstration. Thanks for the donation, Son Goku.
Your attention span issues could be anxiety related. I was misdiagnosed with ADHD when I was 10, and it wasn't until I was re-evaluated last year that it was because of my anxiety and PTSD that was causing attention span issues. Ask your doctor.
I don't have any anxiety issues anymore, so I doubt it. Thanks for the donation, though. Forgot my namification. Dodo, don't need to tell us you can't square circles. This guy is really dumb. No wonder he's Christian. Yeah. That was pretty bad. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
You know he's right about how science is way different from just 5 years ago. That's the thing about science, it's always evolving.
Yeah, I guess so. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Appreciate it.
And Jesus also approved of slavery and stoning people for being gay. I guess that's okay according to his logic.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't really get into that, but thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Good debate. Good job staying calm during the debate. His followers might not even understand what just happened.
Well, you know, most people are pretty goddamn retarded, so, yeah.
These articles, in my view, are really good at articulating the vegan position towards people who are believers in Christ. I was shocked that the first one was pro.
These beliefs are acknowledged by most since God says killing animals is wrong.
This vegan muscle mommy is hot. Also on peptide.
I'll take a look at that in a minute. Thanks for the donation, Granite. This is supported by scriptures. Genesis clearly states that God gave man plants and everything green thing for food.
React to this.
I'll do that in a minute. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. God only allowed meat eating after the flood, as all plant life had been wiped out and the environment was not suited for hardy plant populations that was before the flood. That's interesting.
Do you have any idea how cute Joey is? 777 quadrillion 777 trillion 777 billion 777 million 777,777 TTT.
Yes, he is really cute. He might even be the cutest. Thanks for the donation, Then Now. This article first appeared on the Encyclopedia Britannica's Advocacy for Animal site and is reprinted with permission of the editors. Most Christians in the Western Hemisphere eat meat, though a small vegetarian-vegan minority exists. For the most part, Christianity in North and South America is a meat-eating religion. When asked about the morality of killing animals for food, the response from most self-described Christians is almost always the same. Bible teaches humans have dominion over animals. Despite the general acceptance, the fact remains that when all scriptural passages pertaining to animal welfare are viewed within the larger context of the Christian message of grace, atonement, mercy developed through the Bible, there exists an even stronger argument that promotes the humane, compassionate treatment of animals. That's interesting. I'll actually read that whole thing later. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Or not Dodo, bend over. She's pretty shredded. Okay, she's got to have an OnlyFans. There's just no way. I think somebody sent me her shit before. Yeah, you said she's on peptides? I don't know, she might be on a little more than just peptides. It's pretty fine.
So where were we?
Said she's a natural vegan bodybuilder. Creatine MSM. What's MSM? Okay, so she just takes like BPC 157. People argue whether or not BPC 157 is natural. When it comes to like most peptides, I'd say who fucking cares? 3 peptides that changed my life. That's kind of risky to post about that on Instagram. BPC, KPV, targets the gut more. CJC 1295, natural growth hormone levels, basically just means aid in recovery, fat burning. Never heard of CJC. I'll look that up.
At least 10 people were killed in one of Israel's largest incursions on the territory. The operation involved drones, bulldozers, and hundreds of soldiers across Jenin, Nablus, Tubas, and Tulkarem. The Israeli foreign minister has called for the evacuation of Palestinians from parts of the northern occupied West Bank. Mr. Israel Katz says the army is seeking to, quote, dismantle Iranian Islamic terror infrastructures established there.
Israel's war on Palestinians has unfortunately now expanded to the West Bank, where hundreds of Israeli soldiers carried out a large-scale military raid in the territory, killing at least 10 Palestinians, and that's according to the Palestinian.
So we're not going to care if those 10 people killed were linked to Hamas. We're just going to say they're Palestinians.
You should read this manga. It's about a guy that loses his balls and has to fight to get them back. I think you would relate a lot to the MC since you're all shaft now. Do you think being placid is stoic?
Being placid? When a boy into UFOs collides with a girl into ghosts, the universe will never be the same? What the fuck? What is this shit? Do you mean being flaccid? I don't know what that has to do with stoicism. Thanks for the donation, Alu.
I remember David Rams saying that Jesus' cousin John the Baptist was a vegetarian. And apparently, James, Jesus' brother, was also a vegetarian. Apparently, even Peter was a vegetarian. It comes from the apocryphal Pseudo-Clementine homilies.
That's interesting. Thanks for the donation, Riley.
Did you see the new video where Earthling Ed argues with a
Knowing
robot?
what you know about how we humans treat other sentient beings, would you...
No, this is probably gonna be bad, but I'll watch it later. Thanks for the donation, Tyler. Grey Knight donated Tyler is not safe for work. Here's the link to our OnlyFans. One is free, other is VIP. All right. Cool. Thanks for the donation, Grey Knight. Synthetic analog of growth hormone releasing hormone, GHRH, also known as growth hormone releasing factor. Markedly increases plasma growth hormone, insulin-like growth factor 1 levels in both animals and humans. With a single injection, human subjects increases plasma GH levels by 2 to 10-fold for 6 days or longer, and plasma IGF-1 by 1/2 to 3-fold for 9 to 11 days.
You were patient, calm and methodical. Slowly destroyed the poor guy. I actually felt bad for him. It's impressive how you made him realize how stupid he was considering his stubbornness and ignorance.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's that difficult. The Carnist position's kind of stupid. Thanks for the donation, VG. Interesting. CJC 1295. I'd probably not take that one because, well, I guess it wouldn't really matter if you're just taking it for like a few weeks. What's with all the J's in the chat? Does that mean anything in particular?
In Red Crescent Society. Now, that overnight raid focused on the northern West Bank, and unfortunately,
Can you really consider yourself natty while being on peptide? Or no? Great job in the debate, by the way. Surprised didn't really insult his messiah. Lol.
Kind of depends. Something like CJ or CJC or whatever the fuck it is. That's a bit more of a gray area because it seems to raise growth hormone and IGF-1 by so much. I don't know if I'd consider somebody natty if they took that regularly. Most other peptides, though, like BPC, I'd consider somebody natty if they took those. They just don't really have an anabolic effect. Thanks for the donation, though, Will Mage. If there's no standard above yourself, your morality is completely arbitrary. So God's morality is completely arbitrary because there's no standard above himself. Didn't really think that one through, did you? Yeah, T, if you want to debate me on this on Discord, have a debate about moral realism, I can open up the Discord for you and we can have a debate.
Fortunately, it does appear that this is only the first stage. Why do I know that? Well, it's because Israeli officials are saying it, and we'll get to those statements in just a moment. Now, the Jenin Battalion, a Palestinian militant group, said 6 of its members.
You just said if there's no standard above yourself, your moral views are completely arbitrary. That would make God's moral views completely arbitrary because there's no standard above himself. So, maybe you should, think about these things a little more deeply. Oh, wait. There we go. Yeah, so T, join the Discord, come debate me. I would love to have a debate on moral realism with you, because you don't know what you're talking about. Thanks for the membership in Kindu, appreciate it. You don't need Discord. You can just use the web app.
Were killed, though it was not immediately clear whether those casualties were included in the count announced by authorities. Hamas's armed wing also said 3 of its members were killed. So I just want to stop and say, so far.
Yeah, so dummy, there's no such thing as objective morality. Any kind of moral proposition or moral standards require a mind to exist, thus they are subjective, not objective. If I were to formalize this into a syllogism, the argument would be P1, subjectivity is that which requires a mind. P2, any moral proposition or moral standard requires a mind. Q, therefore, moral propositions or moral standards are subjective. Doesn't matter if God creates some kind of moral proposition or standard, it would still be subjective. So if you disagree with that, then come debate me in Discord. I'm not going to have a debate against somebody in chat. That's just retarded. So come debate me. The excuse that you don't have a Discord is stupid. You can just use the web client. You don't even need to download the app, and you can make an account in like 2 seconds.
It's unclear how many innocent civilians have been killed as a result of these raids. It appears that there are.
Do your moral standards hold weight over other people? Do your moral standards hold weight over other people? What the fuck does that mean exactly? If you ask a Muslim if it's okay to rape children, they're going to tell you, yeah, it's fine because our God says so. So you have differing moral standards, I'm assuming. What do you mean? Like that statement makes no sense. And again, join the Discord, you fucking idiot. It takes 2 seconds to make an account. So just join. I don't know why you're arguing with me in the fucking chat. If you want to argue, come debate me, unless you're too scared.
Are some, Hamas militants, according to what Hamas is saying, who died as a result of the raid. But the story is developing. And unfortunately, I believe that the war against Palestinians in the West Bank is developing as well. I don't think that this is just a one-time raid. I think this is part of expanding this war and potentially.
So Anna has no fucking clue what she's talking about. Hamas and other terror organizations operate out of the West Bank, and Israel regularly has to go into the West Bank.
I can already hear all the Christians calling blasphemy for saying that God's morality is not objective.
Yeah, it's because they're stupid and they don't know what they're talking about. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. So the IDF regularly has to conduct raids into the West Bank. Ben Boy donated $2. Peak, Carbrain, and Conservatard.
Everyone feels that why are y'all celebrating an attempted assassination like you're part of Antifa? Thank God the left can't aim. Thank God the right don't riot. Welcome to the home of the brave. Freedom ain't afraid.
That's cringe. Thanks for the
Free
donation, Ben Boy.
Palestine from Hamas. Also, do you remember the bird I used to live, Jacko? What do you think of him?
I don't know if I remember your bird, Jacko. But thanks for the donation, Riley.
You be worried about what?
Oh wait, what's the wrong video?
Leveling the West Bank to do what the IDF's been doing in Gaza, right? Level it, make it uninhabitable for Palestinians, and essentially pave the way to.
Oh, cool. So we have a prediction from Anna. So this is the kind of journalism that the Young Turks does. They make stupid, ridiculous claims that they can't support with any kind of evidence. They try to fearmonger and make up these crazy accusations against Israel that they want to just genocide fucking Palestinians. Like in 5-10 years or however long it takes, when the West Bank is still there, Israel hasn't leveled the place. Like, what are they going to say? Are they ever going to admit they're wrong? No. All they're interested in is spreading anti-Israeli propaganda.
Take complete control of the territory. Now, Hamas is not helping Palestinians much because of the fact that every time that they attack Israel on Israeli soil, Israel retaliates 1,000-fold. And a recent attack in Tel Aviv is the excuse that Israel is using now to do these raids in the West Bank. And these raids have been absolutely devastating.
Did you know your enemy, Savar Matner, made... I don't know who the fuck that is.
Any advice on gym consistency? I keep falling in and out of the habit and losing all my momentum, and it's messing with my head. Also, have you ever taken creatine? Why/why not?
Yes, I take 10 grams of creatine per day. The reason is it is the most well-supported sports supplement for physical performance. It allows you to be stronger and produce more explosive power throughout the duration of a workout. And it also has cognitive benefits. And if you're having trouble with consistency at the gym, the trick is to be consistent. It all comes down to personal decisions. There's no one that is forcing you to go to the gym, and there's no one forcing you not to go to the gym. If you want to be consistent, then be consistent. There's never any excuses that you can come up with that, you know, get rid of personal responsibility. If you want to be consistent, then that's all on you. So I would say read about Stoicism and learn more self-control. There's no one that's stopping you from being inconsistent other than yourself. That's it. So learn to make goals for yourself. Learn to hold yourself to certain standards that you want to see. If you want to be somebody who consistently goes to the gym and make progress, then be that person. There's no force in the universe that is preventing you from being inconsistent. There's no force in the universe that's preventing you from being consistent other than yourself. So you just have to make a commitment to yourself to be consistent. Thanks for the donation though, Kit Lawless.
I'm gonna blow a load of tofu on Jasmine. Bitch. And you ain't gonna do shit, nigga.
Alright, well that's nice. Thanks for the donation, Axel.
Only in regard to potential civilian casualties, but as it pertains to critical infrastructure.
Had to tune out after a while. That debate was an abomination. Can I just say how weird the recent vibe shifts are? I chat pretty freely with my conservative boss about politics and he's totally zog-pilled and doesn't care if Trump trashes the Constitution.
Conservatives, especially Trump supporters, just don't care. They're ideologues, and they're sucked into a weird cult of personality, and they just do not care. You can't really have any sort of meaning political debate with a pro-Trump Republican. They just don't care about anything. Thanks for the donation, though, retard.
Structure in the territory. I'm talking about hospitals. I'm talking about, water mains, which of course are critical in providing water to the Palestinians living in the West Bank.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back, because.
All right, well, Young Turks are still retarded, but we already knew that. Let's finish
Operating
this video.
officer of Mr. Hutchins' investment firm. The chief operating officer of Mr. Hutchins' investment firm. She explains that the reason she trusted Mr. Hutchins was through the strong recommendation and endorsement from that very reputable and successful real estate agent. He represented Mr. Hutchins as highly competent and capable. He presented a successful track record.
Wow, your then conservative boss is a moron.
Yes, thanks for the donation, Dodo.
And how Mr. Hutchins had delivered for others.
Why 10 grams of creatine per day isn't maintenance like 5 grams? If you're a bigger person, you probably need more creatine. For most people, 5 grams is fine.
Their investments. On the next page, page 16, she testifies, "My trust was and has been severely violated. This is the equivalent of financial. Many of us entrusted Mr. Hutchins."
Just random vids, don't need to tell her something for your cats. I have a king-sized bed, so this would be kind of pointless. Did you go to Japan? I've never been to Japan.
Where you can robot fight, and you won't believe where in Tokyo this is. When we think about Japan, we think innovation, futuristic technology. Well, the Raid Arcade is just that. It's filled with futuristic games that combine both human performance and VR. And this arcade is literally located inside Tokyo Tower. Make sure to add this to your Tokyo bucket list and follow for more Tokyo tips.
Looks pretty cool. Watch. Ew, gross, baby. Quest Phonics Donatilla is currently baked as fuck on edibles, watching documentaries on human evolution and time travel, following after I might get on some Justice League. How goes your day? Hope you're staying up, kind sir. Also great debate. You were mature and civil versus Grumps. Well, thank you. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for the donation, Quest.
We would do to you.
Wait. There we go.
Hutchins, who we've come to know to be fraudulent. Just $1.3+ million of worthless paper signed by him fraudulently misrepresented in the courts. So Hutchins was convicted for soliciting investment monies by telling victims that their money would be...
If you got a free penthouse in Dubai, would you take it, but you have to leave your family behind? No. Dubai sucks. I'd never want to live there.
Put to work on a specific property. In fact, Hutchins did not put all the investor funds to work on the property on which the investor was solicited to invest, and instead,
Fuck. I'm jacking that. Donate $2. Hey VG, what are your thoughts on meditation? Being consistent with meditation has helped my outlook on life. Best thing anyone can do for mood control and self-mastery, and not antidepressants.
For thousands of years, people have practiced.
I'm not going to bother watching this video. Meditation's definitely useful. I don't know if if it has greater efficacy than antidepressants. Might, kind of depending on the individual. But it is useful. Thanks for the donation. I'm jacking that. Just random vids, donate $2. Lol, it wasn't a real baby. Still gross. Thanks for the donation, dude.
Regularly used investor funds on other properties or personal expenses. Now, what kind of personal expenses? Well, apparently he bought an AR-15 and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. His wife had a domestic violence order of protection against him. He's accused of calling his wife a lying rat and sending menacing photos of himself in tactical gear in the woods to her friends and family. Again, according to Sylvia's testimony, James Warren represented Mr. Hutchins as highly competent and capable. She continues on page 17. James Warren, the then realtor who recommended me to Hutchins, also encouraged us to work with Mr. Hutchins on trying to make it work. And we did, until it became very evident as to his apparent intent of complete fraud. So James appearing to sort of try to mediate this exchange, saying, hey, give him a chance, don't pursue him, don't sue him, just make it work, right? The real losses due to fraud are evident. Financially, he's devastated my retirement. I can only hope and thank the good Lord that I have a brain to be able to function and try to earn back as much as possible. The impact, over $1.3 million in real losses. These are not, I got a piece of property, it was all fraud. She goes on to describe her financial troubles through the years, supporting her mother who had Alzheimer's disease, how in the crash of 2008, she lost her job and for 2 years was unemployed. In 2014, she had a severe cancer diagnosis, was out of work for over a year. She continues, in spite of all that, I've lived very frugally and tried to make things work. I've made him know of all my history and I told him I could not take the risk. He and James Warren, the then realtor, stated, oh, real estate. She goes on to describe how they presented.
Say go donate $2. Wonder in your debate why you don't mention to the meat eater that they can be vegan and eat meat like wild boar. It's just a matter of ethics. Why don't you add that to your debate, Richard? Also, I need sit-ups. Don't scam me. Like last time, answer. I don't know. Thanks for the donation, dude. I'll do the sit-ups later.
And it as a safe investment opportunity for her. And then James Warren's business partner defrauded her of $1.3 million. Now, can I claim definitively that James Warren was aware of the fraud that was taking place and willingly complicit in helping Mr. Hutchins defraud old ladies? No. But from what I've heard of James Warren's character, how he's hit ex-girlfriends, not let them leave the house, beat his dog, defrauded people in his own ways. Creative Juice is an interesting one that could be looked into, which was done with Mr. Beast, as well as another scheme that we'll get into that he conducted with LaKoya Hill. I personally believe that when he was working with Mr. Hutchins, he was in similar company. I think the COO of acquisitions would know and be sort of responsible for properties not being properly acquired through the court system. But again, that's my opinion. That's all allegedly. Now, on to his alleged best friend, LaKoya Hill. They both went to UNC Chapel Hill together, and they both, after graduating, got into real estate. But by 2017, LaKoya Hill was running an adult entertainment event business in San Francisco called LaKoya Hill Entertainment. Then in 2019, he was hired to Mr. Beast as a producer.
Is that a Murcielago?
Our party evolved into this place where, you know, you have the drag queens, the muscle daddies, the bears, the twinks, the, like, posh boys.
Now, I'm all for personal freedoms. I believe adults should be able to do whatever they want. However, I question what qualified the sort of go-go dance drag daddy of San Francisco for a job producing YouTube content for children. You know, it'd also be weird if Mr. Beast hired Johnny Sins as the janitor, I guess. It's not the real issue, though. The issue is that in late 2021, he was allegedly fired for sexually assaulting his assistant. Now, I put fired in quotation marks because he was actually quietly moved to the dubbing company, which was Unilingo at the time. Here is proof that he used the LaKoya at unilingo.tv.
So, Mr. Beast hired a guy who was working in the sex industry, like in adult entertainment, and then he sexually assaulted an employee and didn't quite fire him, but moved him to a different position? The fuck? Why is he
email.
working with these people?
Links back to him, links to these photos, one of which was the profile picture for his YouTube channel, which also after my first video, his YouTube channel mysteriously got deleted. And at some point, his Twitter also got deleted. I don't know if that's when he sexually assaulted his assistant. I don't know if that's after my first video got posted. Either way, Booty Call Wednesdays are canceled. He was actually brought back to Mr. Beast in 2023 after sexually assaulting his assistant prior and promoted to Chief Financial Officer, which is how I personally was introduced to him. Here's some evidence from the internal Slack channel at Mr. Beast showing LaQuaya Hill acting in some COO capacity, saying there's news reporters outside, do not engage with them. This was shortly after the Time magazine article came out. So here I have a document showing testimony from former Mr. Beast employees talking about LaQuaya Hill. When I say verified former Mr. Beast employee, I had them send some form of proof. I know who some of these people are. They just want to remain anonymous, but I'm willing to share this with like an independent third party if it needs to happen. Personally, I don't think Mr. Beast is going to deny sort of this LaQuaya Hill story that I'm going to show you. But here's the first.
I love how earlier in this video he accuses the Warren guy of beating his girlfriends based on charges and then acknowledges he doesn't know if the charges are actually him because there's multiple James Warrens in North Carolina with domestic violence charges. Lamau.
Didn't he show the court documents specifically identifying that guy though? Thanks for the donation, retard.
First testimony, and I'll say this person is especially credible in my opinion. I asked them, did you see or hear of any sexual misconduct at the company? They say yes. LaQuaya Hill, the current COO. In 2021, he had an assistant named victim's name. I heard LaQuaya acted very inappropriately with victim, booking hotel rooms with only one bed, walking around in his underwear, having victim come to his house and showing him his sex toy collection. Just in general, LaQuaya made victim uncomfortable. Victim started complaining to higher-ups, and a report got written. LaQuaya was put on paid leave for like a month. Then Mr. Beast moved him to the dubbing company, and he was hired back in 2023 and was promoted to COO, even though Jimmy, James, and Sue 100% know his history. Also, I heard that when Victim was let go, he was given $30,000 in severance. I could get you Victim's number. I don't know if he'd talk. I responded,
I can't suck my dick. Why? Am I not big enough or is it my flexibility? My neck hurts from trying to reach my dick and my lips are sore from trying to poke my lips out. No luck. Any tips?
I don't know, man. Maybe your dick isn't long enough, maybe you're not flexible, maybe you have too much stomach fat getting in the way. I don't know. Thanks for the donation though, Axel.
yeah, that'd be great. Also, is there proof he moved to the dubbing company? I could look. It was the original dubbing company called Unilingo. Mr. Beast practically forced them to hire LaQuaya, and then they poached Unilingo's employees and copied their whole business and created Creator Global. Verified employee number 2. Ask them the same question, have you heard of any sexual misconduct at the company? They say yes. I don't know how to spell their name, but LaQuaya, something like that. He was brought in last year after having not worked there for a year or so at a very high level. I respond LaQuaya Hill. They say, the reason he had been asked to leave previously is that he had sexually harassed someone that still worked at the company when he was brought back. Yes, LaQuaya Hill. But they brought him back knowing he had sexually harassed an employee previously. And people often talk about LaQuaya making them very uncomfortable on shoots. Verified employee number 3. I'm looking into more accusations of sexual misconduct at the company, wondering if there's anything you could corroborate. Have you heard of anything about LaQuaya Hill? They respond, the old gay guy who likes to bang 18-year-old straight employees? Yeah, I've heard of him. Anything non-consensual to your knowledge? I heard he got in trouble for hooking up with his 18-year-old straight assistant, but the company kept it quiet from what I heard. He's a producer and worked in the adult entertainment before Mr. Beast. Yeah, LaQuaya Hill Entertainment. I heard he was fired for sexual harassment, then brought back a year later. That's what I heard too. Employee number 4. Do you know who LaQuaya Hill is? Yes. And you're aware of the case that has been covered up for some time. Explain. Essayed multiple people, apparently roofied multiple people as well.
Would you rather have 6 months left to live due to cancer or be a billionaire quadriplegic? I'd rather have 6 months left to live.
Verified employee number 5. I'll also say this person is especially credible, but they worked there a while ago, like 2020, 2021, around then. Okay, few things. LaQuaya sexually assaulted his assistant who was straight and LaQuaya was gay. You probably already know that, but James is best friends with him, so holy shit, was that surprising that they kept him around way longer than they should have. There were reports of him making the assistant sleep in the same room / bed with him on trips, touching him inappropriately, and dangling his job in front of him. Employee number 6. Did you hear anything about LaQuaya Hill? I heard that incident happened. I heard they let him go, and I heard they brought him back and just put him in a different department. And I don't know, but I think he's working there again. Now recently, Mr. Beast has let LaQuaya Hill go. They had this sort of leaked email where they say, therefore, along with Jeff Hausenbold, our new president and COO, right? Alluding to the fact that LaQuaya Hill is no longer working there. Now, I have been open with Mr. Beast about the fact that I was going to cover LaQuaya Hill. This is a single frame in my first video where I reference LaQuaya. He's also in my Twitter header. And I've also just told people who work at Mr. Beast that they have to let LaQuaya Hill go. So they did what I wanted and let him go, right? Well, just on a whim, I decided to look into the Creator Global LinkedIn, and it had gone private to where everyone just shows up as a LinkedIn member, right? But I saw this, L, LinkedIn member, president of Creator Global.
Skip back to 2:45 in the video. The level of careless retardation he exhibits within 30 seconds from there is disqualifying to me. He should have pawned this off to Netflix or Vox nigger.
Let me see, 2:45.
Very aggressive. I've heard him referred to as a psychopath who screams at people and hits his girlfriends. There's allegedly domestic violence charges that were filed against him. And I say allegedly because it turns out there's a lot of people in North Carolina named James Warren who assault their girlfriends, I guess. So I'm still having people look into these cases, specifically that surprise witness on YouTube. She's been super helpful in like behind the scenes, just submitting freedom of information requests and just helping me out a lot in general. She's super nice, super smart. She'll be posting a lot of updates on her channel, as she has been about the Mr. Beast situation.
Mr. Beast's video caused a military operation.
James Warren, also allegedly an ex-drug addict. I've heard that he offered cocaine and hookers to editors to stay late. And then the really big thing is that there was some incident between him and a female colleague that resulted in the female colleague leaving the company and receiving.
I mean, that's not really a problem.
At Creator Global. I thought, you know what, that's a little suspicious. So I reached out to one of my connections close to Mr. Beast and I said, hey, can you look into this account for me? Because sometimes if you have connections, you can see private LinkedIn accounts. And this is what they saw. LaKoya Hill, listed as the current president at Creator Global. No work history between graduating UNC in May 2001 and becoming the president at Creator Global in 2024. Dude, this is like the 3-cup game where you got to like keep track of the pets and races as Mr. Beast just moves them between companies.
They just sort of kept moving them around. You know, like those killer whales at SeaWorld. After it kills a trainer, they'll then move it up to Seattle. They don't give them their background.
Which I heard, you know, Mr. Beast or James Warren forced Unilingo to hire LaKoya as sort of part of their partnership without, you know, sending them the report on his alleged sexual misconduct at the company. I also have a voice memo from James Warren showing that they told Unilingo to process a $28,000 bonus for LaKoya, which there's definitely something suspicious going on with that.
Hey, buddy, it's James. Sorry to be bothering you. I've done my absolute best not to bother you. But LaKoya had presented a bunch of stuff to me and Jimmy a little bit ago, all really great stuff. But he had asked me and Jimmy personally, he's like, hey, you know, can I have a $28,000 bonus for work I did in the past? And I'm like, yeah, of course, man. And the reason for that is I brought him up to my level and I don't take bonuses. So for like 2 years, he didn't get any bonuses when our guys were getting like crazy percentage bonuses. I need a favor. Sue cannot process this bonus through Beast. I need a solid. Can you please process a 28K bonus for LaKoya? Let me know. Bye.
And then they used LaKoya to try to steal Unilingo's business, poach their employees, take their clients, and then Mr. Beast launched Creator Global, where LaKoya Hill is currently listed as the president. So that's LaKoya Hill. And that's just what I can put on the record. I will say that if Mr. Beast tries to deny this, more evidence will be brought to light, and more people will definitely come out defending me, saying, hey, this is true, these allegations are true. This is all true, allegedly, in my opinion, for legal reasons.
I just don't understand the motivation behind doing this. This is so fucking bizarre.
Okay, now let's move on to the man himself, Jimmy Donaldson. First, I'll show this testimony from another former Mr. Beast employee just to show sort of the work culture, especially from a female's perspective. She says, on my very first day, I was told to avoid being alone in a room with certain people in positions of power. At least once a week, I was subjugated to inappropriate...
You trolling me, huh? He either made a semi-educated guess and was right that the charges applied to the guy he's talking about, or he jumped the gun and accused a guy of beating women when it takes a couple phone calls to verify the charges were for him.
He said he's still looking into it, and he said it's possible that these charges were made against him. I don't really see a big problem with that. Thanks for the donation, retard.
Questions and conversations. Once a male coworker asked me what I would do if Jimmy assaulted or harassed me. On another occasion, the same coworker said it wasn't fair that women could just decide a past sexual encounter wasn't consensual. Many of the men I worked with would make assault and pet jokes on a daily basis. They would scream and hit walls when they got upset. The minute any woman leaves a room, they would talk about if/how they would fuck her. I've heard men comment on female contestants' bodies many times. Not everyone behaves this way, but no one openly speaks out against it in fear of losing their job. If you complain about any of this, you'll be shamed for being too sensitive or just ignored. You can't take anything to HR either because Jimmy's mom runs it. It's pretty common for people to essentially get paid to leave and stay quiet if they make enough noise about something. There is no employee handbook, by the way. If you ask for one or what the company's policies are, they just tell you to ask them and they'll let you know if anything is against the rules. But again, there's nothing in writing, which is true. The leaked document is just the production manual, not given to all employees. Here's another testimony. This person will go on the record. This is Jess, who accused Ava Chris Tyson of sexual assault. I think her case has been sort of mostly ignored because she wasn't a minor when it happened, but she was a Mr. Beast employee, and you can.
Ben Boyd donate tellers, is Aaron Janice really not vegan anymore? What the fuck? Lost all respect for that bitch. Yeah, apparently not. She has really bad mental health issues. Like, I think she might be schizophrenic. And I think she was gaslit into thinking like it's okay to eat meat or something when she was and she's just gotten more delusional. Thanks for the donation though, Ben Boy.
Would you be genuinely interested in boxing Scott Sullivan? That'd be good entertainment.
Yeah, I'd be down. Once I get into martial arts training, I'd be down to either box or like roll with him. I think he does jiu-jitsu. Thanks for the donation, Ubermensch.
See in her evidence and her communications with the company the clear signs of a cover-up. You see them like threatening her with legal action and emails and saying like, oh, we're going to have a law firm investigate this. Well, they had one firm do an internal investigation, McGuire Woods LLP, the same law firm that sent me my first cease and desist. But then they hired, I guess, Harvey Weinstein's legal team, allegedly, to re-review everything. So I guess they weren't happy with the results of the first internal investigation. Also, yeah, this new law firm, Quinn Emanuel, Mr. Beast has worked with them previously, allegedly, to internally investigate LaKoya Hill's sexual misconduct. So why don't you make that report public, Jimmy? Anyway, here's Jess's testimony. I only hung out with Jimmy a handful of times, but he definitely was a little more reserved around me because I wasn't a part of his inner circle, or the boys club as it's called. I did hear Jimmy straight up say that the guy making a documentary on him right now has footage of him saying stuff that would absolutely get him canceled. It's just a well-known thing the boys club is misogynistic and looks down on women in the company despite what they might say publicly. Behind closed doors, the women in the company know that the culture is a problem. I have heard multiple stories of Jimmy being directly informed of SA happening at the company and proactively working to keep it quiet. So Jess directly implicating Jimmy in the SA cover-ups. LaKoya with an 18-year-old straight assistant, so she's one of the people corroborating that story. Ava told Jimmy about a time she was essayed by another talent member on a private jet, and talent members/employees making advances towards contestants was a regular occurrence. The reason all of this was able to happen for so long is because Jimmy is deeply misogynistic and only respects what he considers to be traditional women. He pushed those values into the company when he created it, and it resulted in several SA allegations we know about, and probably a lot more we don't know yet. Which I will say, a lot of the SA allegations are still not public. Like, man, just fire James Warren and LaKoya Hill. Fire them, don't just move them around. Or I'm going to start dropping nukes. Anyway, I'm going to move Maddie Spadell away from all this. I just want to touch on this briefly. So Maddie Spadell, who's Mr. Beast's very public ex-girlfriend of 2.5 years, posted this on her Instagram story. She doesn't mention Jimmy by name. It's sort of vague, I think probably either because she's under an NDA or maybe she's just testing the waters to see how people respond before sharing more information. But also it's like not that vague if you have reading comprehension and can read context clues. She says she spent years being quiet, never acknowledging that time in her life. 19 to 21 are formative years. Impacted how she saw herself and how she trusted men. Months of therapy. She says how he treats other women will ultimately be how he treats you. So how does Jimmy treat other women?
I don't really get along with women. I don't really get along with women. I don't really get along with women. Well, women are stupid because they're inferior to men.
That when she and a group of contestants who were menstruating.
You think it's totally fine for this guy in his position to levy serious claims he hasn't fully looked into? That's probably fine, who cares, but you can't also believe him when he says he's talked to lawyers. That's delusional cope. I bet he gets sued hard.
He is in contact with lawyers. Why hasn't he already gotten sued if what he's saying is wrong or untrue? And again, he just said allegedly. He said he could not verify the story yet. I don't know what the problem is. Thanks for the donation, retard.
during the event had asked the production staff about getting their underwear more quickly, she had been told that it was not a medical emergency.
You'll never actually respect a woman, but just act like you respect them.
Mr. Beast withheld my birth control. I have ovarian cysts. You can't just stop taking birth control.
I don't really get along with women.
Also in this podcast, Jimmy goes on to talk about his relationship with his current girlfriend, Tia, in very weird ways, in my opinion.
For us now, like, an idea of a date is just to like take an IQ test and then study and see if we can get hired. An idea of a date is just to like take an IQ test. And then she was like, I'm an author. And I was like, fuck yeah, good. She has a hobby. And then I just DM'd her. I was like, oh, so your book. And I read it. She sent it over, read the whole book, and it was just like acting like it was the greatest book ever. I don't really get along with women.
It's all of our jobs to protect our friends.
That is weird. Yeah, this guy definitely thinks women are just intellectually inferior to him.
Our moms, our wives, our sisters, our daughters, ourselves from people like that. That's a pretty clear statement, if you ask me. Now, I almost feel like there's been a campaign against Maddie Spadell to discredit her before she's even shared any information. A lot of like clout chaser and gold digger allegations. I'll say this is also from that Rolling Stone article. They referenced the breakup. The reporter says, Maddie Spadell, who's appeared in a handful of videos, those in Mr. Beast's inner circle told me that Spadell had been a positive influence, forcing Donaldson to prioritize work-life balance more. Donaldson did not want to comment on the record about the breakup, citing Spadell's privacy, yet Chris Tyson, says Donaldson's singular focus on work was a major contributing factor. I think that's what he's going to be looking for next. Somebody who can match his obsession with business and money and all that kind of stuff. So not a bad word to be said about Maddie Spadell from Jimmy or the people in his inner circle, which is pretty unusual of an ex-girlfriend. I'll show some of the brain-dead media coverage headed by Cuckstar and his news.
The Supreme Court kept blocking Biden's attempts at student loan forgiveness. Do you think Americans can expect much student loan forgiveness in the near future? My cousin owes over $300,000 in loans. I only owe $3,000, so we'll probably just pay mine off.
Didn't he get loan forgiveness for loans under 10,000, something like that? It'll at least cover a certain percentage. You're probably not going to see mass student loan forgiveness under the next administration. Thanks for the donation, though, Axel.
News organization Drama Alerts. So here's just one of his many posts about Maddie. A thread of every time Mr. Beast's ex-girlfriend allegedly shaded him, downplaying the clout-chasing claims against her. So let's see this extensive thread. One post of a TikTok where she says she was traumatized at 19. Why do you think that's about Jimmy, Keemstar? Allegedly complaining about Mr. Beast fans. This is her most popular TikTok period with over 6.5 million views and was posted last year. And then Drama Alert goes on to give one more example. And that's the end of the thread. So see her most popular TikTok seems to be alluding to her relationship with Mr. Beast. And then she has hundreds of more TikToks where she never even tried to recreate the success of that first TikTok, right? Like if I'm her social media manager, I'm telling her, hey, post about Jimmy more. And she obviously knows that if she did that, she would get more views. And yet she doesn't do it. Hundreds of TikToks, about 30 of them are about Taylor Swift, maybe 3 are about her ex-boyfriend of 2.5 years, which for a Swiftie, it's extremely low to post only 3 times about your ex-boyfriend who's now incredibly famous. So if she was clout chasing, she's doing a horrible job at it. Now Drama Alert, on the other hand, has posted more times in the past month about Maddie Spadell than Maddie Spadell has ever posted about Mr. Beast. So I just wanted to address that because I think Mr. Beast knows Maddie has nukes against him and he's trying to discredit her. So let's look at this leaked email. This is from Mr. Beast. It says, yesterday Dawson saved 100 billion. Whoa, guys, whoa. Guys, I don't know how that got there. That was the wrong email. I don't know how that got there. So I've actually heard from pretty credible people that this email was not leaked. So, why lie about it? Devious or deceptive tendencies. Here he is quoted in that Rolling Stone article saying, I'm great at lying. But I want to focus on this part where they say, therefore, along with Jeff Hausenbold, our new president and COO, we will be hiring a new chief human resource officer, chief financial officer, interesting, and general counsel, along with other roles to add capacity and competencies to foster a better internal culture as we continue to grow. So what's interesting about this is that the only person named in an initiative to foster a better internal culture is Jeff Hausenbold. But what's ironic about this is that Jeff Hausenbold has been in the news previously for the internal culture that he helped create as managing partner at the SoftBank Vision Fund. Here's New York Post. Nasty executives shaped macho culture at SoftBank Vision Fund. And here's Bloomberg Business Week. SoftBank Vision Fund employees depict a culture of recklessness. It has also been described as an environment of sycophancy and harassment. So seemingly all the problems that people have with Mr. Beast's internal culture. But this Bloomberg article also goes to call Jeff out by name. Jeff Hausenbold collects cars, including a blue Ferrari, and claims to own a 20,000 bottle wine cellar, although he doesn't drink himself. Acquaintances describe him as smart and arrogant and almost entirely lacking in self-awareness. He's also gotten away with some questionable behavior. In a discussion about whether to invest in the stationary bike startup Peloton in 2017, according to two people who were in the meeting, Hausenbold opined that its exercise equipment appealed in part to men who masturbated to its workout videos.
Dude, I want to jerk off! Fuck! I want to jerk off! Look at this!
SoftBank denied the claims, but it's an oddly specific thing for two people to make up a story about masturbating to Peloton workout videos. So yeah, maybe I don't see the vision with hiring this guy as the new president. Also, this is just what I can share right now. I do have more information that I'm trying to get out, trying to get permission from the victims and everything. Also trying to save some things for when Mr. Beast responds. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching.
Sorry I was late. Just a reminder, I'm a jihadist Jew-hating retarded slut bitch.
Well, we already knew that. Thanks for the donation though, Jess Kim.
If you were a sentient feeling being.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good, thanks. I would love to talk to you about veganism and about the ethics of what we do to animals. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. I'm happy to talk about veganism and animal ethics. What would you like to discuss?
I want to know if you think that animals deserve moral consideration.
Yes, I believe animals deserve moral consideration. They can experience pain and suffering, so it's important to take their well-being into account when making ethical decisions.
When you say making ethical decisions, can you explain exactly what you mean by that?
Making ethical decisions involves choosing actions that minimize harm and promote well-being. In the context of animals, it means considering their capacity to suffer and making choices that avoid causing them unnecessary harm.
So just to clarify, are you saying that reducing the suffering, harm, and death that we cause to animals is the ethically preferable thing for us to do? Hey everyone, before we hear the response from ChatGPT, I want to let you all know about the links today, GPT, but a huge thank you for this video.
Yes, reducing suffering, harm, and death to animals is considered ethically preferable.
Does that not therefore mean that we have a moral obligation to be vegan?
Yes, if we accept that reducing harm and suffering is a moral obligation, then veganism aligns with that obligation by avoiding the harm caused to animals in animal agriculture.
Straight away, we've already established that we should be vegan for ethical reasons. Is this something that you agree with?
Yes, I agree. If reducing harm to animals is an ethical priority, then veganism aligns with that principle.
And surely because we've already established that animals deserve moral consideration, surely that means that considering what we do to animals should be an ethical priority.
Yes, exactly. Since animals deserve moral consideration.
I don't know why I even bothered uploading that, because the AI chatbot agreed with him immediately.
As fast as you can.
Orthodox. You're wearing a wedding ring now because...
Yeah. If you're both planning on continuing to work and you just split expenses and shit, then I guess you don't really ever have to get married.
Our relationship is very unorthodox. You're wearing a wedding ring now because...
Yeah. I found out you were a single mom and I still got with you even though I think dating with single moms is a waste of time. And I've been lying to everyone about the fact that you're a single mom. It's been a wild ride. It's crazy.
You did.
How much you've been lying about who you are and what you've done, your age, everything else, because you're actually much older than I originally claimed, but... I lied because I have an image to maintain.
Because, well, there you go. You've been learning for 7.5 years. But, like I said, I bring out the best in you. But you made me happy. You really do. I was happy before you.
I like how it started with you, I bring out the best in you. It sounded like he was about to compliment her, and he went, no. And
then it doesn't.
I make you better, stupid.
I was happy before you. And if you and I decide to part ways for whatever reason, I'll be happy without you.
Why?
I don't care what nobody says. There's never a day in life where you can convince me this is not the most loserish shit ever. You want to love?
I completely disagree with what you said. I don't know how much thought was behind what you said. What? Why is the divorce rate so high? I don't know. People get divorced. They don't like each other anymore.
Share these kind of weird vows, and that's fine. Doing this for content, doing a Q&A afterwards, doing vows where you're essentially like, yo, I was happy before you, and I'm going to be happy after you. It's like, holy
But
shit.
I'm happy about the way you made me happy because I made you. That's crazy. That's a crazy bar. That's a crazy bar.
I'm not even saying don't get married. I'm confused as to why that has to be the thing that makes a relationship serious versus the relationship itself. I don't think you needed to be serious. I don't give a fuck about marriage personally. But if you're going to have a child with somebody, or if you're going to ask somebody to make huge sacrifices in their career financially, they need some kind of like assuredness or some kind of like commitment from the guy to make sure that their life isn't going to be fucking destroyed if you guys end up splitting up. I think marriage is a really important protection for whoever's going to make sacrifices in a relationship for the betterment of the combined relationship.
And so, by the power vested in me, I pronounce us man and wife.
Did he say man?
What kind of sacrifices might one make outside of kids? You sacrifice your career.
Vids, is what GPT-4o thought of our discussion BTW. I'm happy to do it in a more prepared way, not on benzos, another day.
Most fake alpha males these days seem to be loud.
I like to see someone debate ChatGPT about the Gaza war, or Trump versus Harris. Or hell, you should try debating about nihilism or stoicism.l with it on stream.
Maybe I'll do that. Thanks for the donation, Grey Knight. I don't think it would really go anywhere. Let's go over the transcript more carefully to ensure the analysis is accurate. Argues the probability of consciousness is higher in beings the nervous system. I just disagreed with the premise you made about likeliness of consciousness in another species. That's great. Whatever. What is this shit?
Loud, obnoxious, and pumped full of steroids. This one's different. He's quite subdued and boring, actually. What Gen Z likes is building global, mostly unregulated pseudo-M house.
I don't care.
I believe.
Do you believe it or not? Seed or not?
I don't care.
You sacrifice working years in your life, so huge earning potentials and like some level of autonomy and independence. Women are usually more harshly impacted by divorces than men are. When you look at chances to get into a new relationship, whoever is burdened with the responsibility of childcare afterwards, and then whoever is more financially burdened afterwards, like generally you just get fucked. And that's even if you are married. Yeah, if somebody's saying they want to have a kid with you and they don't even want to get married to you, that's like.
Yeah, so the reason why women are financially worse off after a marriage is because they were making less money beforehand anyway.
Like, holy shit, you're asking for a huge... That's a huge commitment.
What is with the fucking creaking of his fucking chair?
Did he say that?
Yeah. Because he's a man.
Because he doesn't want to be a husband?
No. Because that would be simpish.
Yeah, this is like kind of retarded. If you're a woman and you work as a lawyer and then you quit your job to take care of your kids, you can be a lawyer after you break up. You can do the same job you were doing before the breakup. Like by the way, this idea that it's a good thing for a man to get married if the woman is making like career sacrifices, that is the most retarded shit imaginable. The court system has a massive bias favoring females, and the way men get fucked over in these like custody disputes or divorces is just insane. There was a guy who was slandered by his fucking daughter on TikTok, claiming that her father left them to pursue a breakdancing career. He ended up making a fucking YouTube channel and a whole video series about what actually happened. This guy ran a marketing business. His wife ended up leaving him. He gave his wife $2 million, literally all of his savings, allowed them to keep the house, and then she thought he was hiding money, even though he gave her all of his fucking savings, literally all of them. And she ended up getting the court to subpoena him and each of his fucking clients to find out, like, where all the money he was, just to find out if he was hiding any money. All of his clients left because they didn't want to get fucking subpoenaed and have the court look into their financial records. So he was flat broke, had no money. His wife completely destroyed his fucking business. So he had to create a new business that it was like a course on marketing. That's what he was doing, and he created some other business, some other online business that had something to do with online commerce. And what ended up happening was he was also supposed to pay some kind of, like, what is it, alimony on top of that. The court ordered him to pay an alimony, even though she got $2 million fucking dollars and the house. And he was explaining to the judge that he's not able to pay the alimony because a lot of the money he's making is going back into the new business that he had to make that his wife destroyed. And then the judge said, oh, well, then fuck you, locked him in jail. And, like, eventually he was able to grow his business enough where he could pay this fucking alimony payment, but he had to go to fucking jail first. Like, it was just so insane. Like, why in the fuck would you ever give a woman leverage over you like that? It's just stupid. Yeah, don't ever get married. It's dumb.
What the fuck, I gave you an hour courtesy, still no sit-ups, and now another 3. You're a scammer, no better than Logan Paul. Jackass, why do you have sit-ups in your stream when you scam people? That's fucked up, Richard. This is not the first time you scam me.
Okay, I'll do the sit-ups. Thanks for the donation, Sego. Riley donated $2. Can we donate to you to sleep on stream like you did the other time? If so, how much money? What do we have to give you? I don't know. If you give me $200, I'll sleep on stream. Thanks for that donation, Riley.
Maybe you should make it think like a Muslim and chat with it about Islam. Lol. Probably the closest you'll ever have with an actual Muslim to debate you when they're just two pussies to do so. Probably better too.
I don't think ChatGPT would agree to have a debate on Islam because of cultural sensitivity things it's being programmed with. If I debated it on moral realism, it would immediately agree with me. There's probably not going to be a debate there, and it also seems to just immediately agree on veganism. I don't really know what I could debate ChatGPT on. Because ChatGPT is programmed to be secular. So I would have to look for an AI chatbot that's non-secular. Thanks for the donation though, Grey Knight.
That's logic.
But if that's your wife, then
Dodo donate $2. How much worse do you think a second Trump term will be if he wins? It really depends, dude. Like, Trump's got a lot of stupid ideas, but he's also lazy and incompetent, so who knows? Worst case scenario would be extremely bad. Best case scenario would be he does nothing and he's lazy and just golfs all day. Now that RFK Jr. negotiated for a cabinet position, he could be Secretary of Health and Human Services, FBI or CIA director. It's a very real possibility. Yeah, if he was Secretary of Health and Human Services, that would be extremely bad. That would definitely not help with vaccination rates and developing new medical technology. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo.
and you're her husband. I don't even understand that.
No.
Really, really cool to have to be financially successful, but it's much, much sweeter when you have someone like you to share with.
Requested by some of you, I'm going to review the latest video by Jeff Nippard. It's called The Most Attractive Body Type According to Science.
Does having more muscle make you more attractive? It's a good question. One of the main reasons that...
No, it's not a good question. It's just because you're delusional. You want to believe it because you know that you're generally not attractive. That's it.
People get into lifting is to attract a partner. But are all those hours in the gym actually worth it? I wanted to find out, so I asked 50,000 people. Do you think more plates equals more dates? Girls care more about your personality.
What's funny is Jeff Nippard's girlfriend is much more attractive than his girlfriend.
Not so much like how much weight you lift.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they care about. Your personality, which doesn't exist in nature.
If you're really strong, I think that's very attractive. It can definitely help.
Your personality doesn't exist in nature.
If you're very strong, it's attractive. She probably means height, realistically. Would she be attracted to a
No, I'm pretty sure she means strength.
guy who's short, like Jeff? If he's strong? No, of course not, because it has nothing to do with strength. A guy who's taller but can lift less is going to be way more attractive than a short guy who can lift more man-made metal for no reason, obviously. I made a video about Jeff a while ago, and I mentioned his height, and some people got upset that I even mentioned his height. He is below average in height. What do you want me to say? That he isn't? Should I lie and say that he's a tall, big guy? He will, of course, always be small, because women only see your height. They don't look at your muscles.
No, women look at your muscles. Who's that high school basketball kid with the weird height? Tallest high school. Yeah, this guy.
This is the tallest.
Yeah, women only look at your height. I'm sure if you look like this, women are gonna be more attracted to you, even though you look like a fucking string bean. Like, just so fucking retarded. 21st Savage donated $2. Let me just shut you down for a second. RFK Jr. isn't anti-vax. He is anti-vax. He is just pro-vaccine safe. He is not pro-vaccine safety. Pro-science, he is not pro-science. He is an HIV denier. He literally thinks HIV/AIDS doesn't exist. Pro-rigorous testing before we mandate the entire country to take a vaccine. There was rigorous testing. He's just anti-vaccine. It hasn't even been tested for a year. There was, yeah, I'm pretty sure before the vaccine released, there was about a year's worth of testing. Long-term effects are unknown. The long-term effects are known. You're just fucking retarded.
Stop living in denial. Why are you so upset that I mentioned his height? It's not as if I try to offend him in some way. If you're offended by me talking about his height, then you have your issues. You're being offended because you're hurt by the truth.
More dates by becoming more confident and getting really good at any craft and just being...
Yes, exactly. Confidence always helps. If Danny DeVito would simply be more confident, then women would find him more attractive, because that's what it's truly all about.
You, man. No.
Why does he jump around and laugh like that? It's not helping his cause. It just proves everything.
I had to ask some more questions. Would you be more likely to go on a date with...
The problem is that you ask women who go to a gym, who already have at least some slight body dysmorphia themselves. You need to go and ask women on the streets.
Going to a gym does not mean you have body dysmorphic disorder.
And there are interviews.
Well, Mage Nilly Tiller, it's funny you showed that 7 foot tall kid. Yeah, I heard he played that weird xenomorph alien thing. He's a really weird looking guy. It's strange how fucking skinny he is. Thanks for the donation, though, Will Mage.
Of women who talk about this topic on the streets, and all of them say that they don't like anybody who does any kind of bodybuilding, who works out. They are just not into those kind of guys because their bodies don't look attractive, and that's because their bodies look unnatural.
The guy, if he can bench press at least 2 plates. I don't care. And would you be more likely to...
Oh my god, how can you ask something so stupid? As if a woman cares about you lifting man-made metal up and down. And if that was a serious question, then this guy's deluded.
Go on a date with a guy if he has more muscle? Yes. Do you think that people who are...
That could also just mean that he shouldn't be super skinny, because more muscle, would a woman actually be into more muscle? Would a woman be into a body such as Arnold Schwarzenegger's back in the day? Of course not. All of them find it extremely disgusting because he was so severely obese. A woman doesn't want to be with a guy who's obese or who's underweight also. That's really what she means.
21st Savage Night Tellers were the long-term effects well known and established when the New York governor mandated vaccines for workers November 1st, 2021. We normally require 10 plus years of data before we allow a vaccine on the market. That's not true. This is all RFK Jr.'s calling for. That's not true.
Are leaner, are more happy in relationships?
Well,
I think it depends how lean.
I think your sex drive is better when you're not lean.
Okay. At the end of the
Obviously, yeah.
survey, what I found out is that having more muscle could actually help you score more romantic partners, and having a bigger bench press might help with romantic success. But
oh my god, did he just say that?
now let's see if the bigger benchers are actually scoring more partners. Again, here on the x-axis is how much you can bench, so 1 plate per side, all the way up to 4 plates per side, and on the y-axis is
This is so stupid, I can't believe that he made this video.
how many lifetime intimate partners you've had. As you can see, more plates does, in fact, equal more dates.
According to what exactly? What are these statistics based on?
Men who bench more than 4 plates had, by far, the most partners with a lifetime...
Hell yeah. 4-plate club.
Wait. If you had more partners, then it means that all the girls left you. Then it means that you failed even more at relationships. So you just proved that the more plates you lift, the more dates you get, as in the more women leave you.
Sv3rige is like genuinely fucking retarded. If you have more romantic partners, that means more women are interested in you. Dodo donated $2. Does Sv3rige or Frank know you react to them all the time? They probably do, especially Frank. Also, does Sv3rige really have supporters, or is his audience just people who watch him for entertainment? No, he has real supporters giving him money. Also, why does he say muscles so weird? Do you hear him say muscles? Try to say like him. He's Latvian, so he has an accent. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Average of 16. I found it shocking, honestly. I don't know why. I just really didn't expect there to be a trend like this. If anything, I figured the really big bench pressers would be so focused on the gym that they wouldn't have as much time or energy for getting around. I was wrong. But now that I see it this way, I think it can be explained by the fact that stronger men are perceived as more attractive by heterosexual women.
Wait. But it says that additional analysis show that tallness and leanness were also favored along with...
Yes, they also found the strongest men were the most attractive in all samples.
Estimates of physical strength account for 80% of men's bodily attractiveness. They saw tall men, which they found attractive, obviously. Otherwise, the more steroids you would take or whatever, the more you would work out, the more attractive you would become, because you would have more muscle. But it's not like that whatsoever, right? Everybody knows that.
Other research has shown this, and the reason it really shoots up to the 4-plate benchers is probably because they're more likely to be on
This guy just massively copes.
steroids, and steroids increase libido by a lot. Of course, not without other side effects. I was also thinking that maybe the bigger benchers have just been training longer.
Yeah, this guy, look at him. Super attractive, especially that face. He should be modeling.
Don't worry, because when you look at every single survey respondent, you can see that clearly there are people with a low bench press who had loads of partners, and clearly there are people with a big bench press without as many.
Most people on Earth don't bench press at all, thankfully.
Oh, and the same trend held for the squat and deadlift. More strengths meant more partners. The specific lift doesn't seem to matter much. It's the fact that you're strong that seems to count. But what about women? Do you think stronger women had more partners too? Or did being stronger actually lower the partner count for women? Oh, women showed the same trend as men. More strengths meant more partners. So yes.
PLS, can you do your best Sv3rige impression again, who keeps arguing about nature, and all his crazy beliefs?
You see this guy, Jeff Nippels, he doesn't understand what is natural. You see, in nature, he would probably be killed and eaten by other men in his tribe because he's short, and shorter people are naturally weak. So, in order for him not to get eaten, he had to lift weights. And that's obviously not natural because all you're doing is lifting man-made metal. If he was in nature, I would easily be able to kill and eat him because I am taller and therefore stronger. It doesn't really matter if he can bench press a high amount of weight. All it is lifting man-made metal up and down. In nature, I would just easily bite him because I am taller, and I would be able to drink his flesh and then get all the women I want because the women would see that I am stronger than him, and because I am taller, women will want to have children with me. There you go. Thanks for the donation, Riley.
That makes zero sense. Nobody's attracted to strong women, especially the ones who work out, and especially the ones who use drugs.
Your strength does predict your partner count, but it's not the most important thing, and it's definitely not the worst thing.
Oh my god, how delusional is this guy?
So what body type does the best? This part was actually the most surprising to me. I want you to point to the body that you think is most attractive. So as you go down here, there's more muscle, and as you go across here, there's more body fat.
I prefer a little bit of a, like not too much muscle.
But again, you're asking a girl who's at the gym. It's just really, really biased, really as much as it possibly could be.
Okay. I think somewhere in this area over here, this.
Girls who are brainwashed to go to the gym, even though they hate it there, will of course be surrounded by these guys, and their opinion will be biased, seeing as they are into this gym culture mentality. The guys around, I didn't really see the guys around 20, but maybe 20, 30s, look like natural men, tribesmen, so to speak. The body fat should be not too high, not too low.
43. Okay, we're getting somewhere. One of these?
She's also pointing in the same direction. Also, for sure, not too much muscle because you just look obese.
Still, I want you to pick one. I want you to pick. She just points at him. Let's start with.
Yeah, you're also asking a girl whose boyfriend is next to her who works out. Really, he couldn't have possibly made it more biased.
The body fat. Does having a six-pack actually?
Dodo Donatellers, which scenarios would you be more shocked by? Sv3rige going vegan or Frank going vegan? Probably Sv3rige going vegan. Russia using nukes or China using nukes? Probably Russia using nukes. You reaching 1 million subs or Jasmine getting 100k subs? Jasmine getting 100k subs. Brian Johnson quitting his lifestyle or Mark Zuckerberg going vegan? I think Mark Zuckerberg going vegan. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Actually help, or do guys with more of a dad bod get...
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio, who's good looking. Even at his age still. You think that any women care about his body much? As in below the face?
Leaner guys weren't doing any better than heavier guys. But just because you have the same number of lifetime partners doesn't necessarily mean that you're more happy with your romantic life. And I think
as far as I understand, these statistics are based on the guys he interviewed at the gym.
All right, it is late, and I have to get up in the morning. I'm gonna have a interview with Paul Nissen of
I used to be able to bench press half a plate and I got 0 bitches. Now I can bench a whole plate but still get 0 bitches. Is this improvement?
Yes, I would say that's an improvement. You can bench more. Thanks for the donation, Ben Boy. Yeah, I'm going to have an interview with this guy at the Raw Life show. It's probably going to end up turning into a debate. He's a Christian. And we'll see where it goes. I might stream it to my channel when we have the interview. But I'm going to have to get up in the morning for that. It's going to happen at 11 a.m. EST. But, big thanks to everybody who donated on Streamlabs. Really appreciate it. I'll see you all tomorrow. And sweet dreams.